1600 on the map. Supposed to be the people's house, I make it like a trap. Marble floors and chandeliers, I'm ballin' to the wall. Power to the people, yeah, I gotta make that call. Trapping for the team, red and white and blue, that's me. Voices on the block, I'm breaking through, I got the keys. I'm in the lobby, yeah, I'm moving like an OG. Posted in the Oval Office in the executive suite. Signing for the fam, yeah, you know my game is strong. Freedom is the banner and I got my chains on. Secret Service watching snipers sitting on the roof. Truth is hitting hard, I bury you in the booth. Founding father's vision, now I'm flexing with this cash. Big pharma, big tech, turn these dreams to bags. I'm the voice of the hood, trying to come and storm the gates. Ballots in my hands, but the system's overweight. They painted white, yeah, but the stains running deep. Promise they selling it, but you know it ain't coming cheap. Legends walk these rooms, Lincoln, MLK, now it's photo ops. Power plays all day, I'm trapping for the vote. Big Zeus, it's the people's house. Big Zeus,
You already know one.
power's in the air. Big Zeus,
Hey,
we knocking on the door. Big Zeus,
we here.
we wanna hear your soul. Big Zeus,
Hey.
who you think they asking for? They asking for that smoke. People or them players, yeah, y'all think this is a joke. Take it back and write the code. 1600 got your soul. Put my portrait on the wall, they staring at me like I'm cold. Greatest story ever told, I will never ever fall. I'm trapping out the West Wing, doing deals all in the dark. Make your dreams come true, all I need is a spark. Red phone ringing, but you don't know who is on my line. Got the Constitution speaking, yeah, you know I'm so divine. No stains on my kick and the rally outside. And the gates is locked, this power never divides. Spitting for the block, head busters make them wanna fight. 1600, do it all day, all night. People house, it's a trap, got the power, get it back. Money talk loud, time to clap. Fight for the keys, that's a fact. It's a rap, I'ma bring it back. It's the people's house. It's the people's house. Big
Greetings,
Zeus.
ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Let's get started. You know we came to here. We don't got much time to do it. All right, all right.
Crossing Radio.
Yeah. I feel like I'm stuck inside.
There we go. There we go. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the
Stuck
show.
in time. It's like a curse. And I can't escape it. It's like deja vu.
Welcome, ladies.
Deja vu when I'm running up these rats. I'm like the Terminator screaming, I'll be back. Deja vu when I'm first class. It's like every week I gotta take out the trash. I'm on top of my game, ahead of the class.
Good morning, yes.
You can tell that I made it, look at my grass. Cars in the garage with tanks full of gas. I play the game so raw, I won't finish
Welcome,
last.
ladies and gentlemen.
Living room screaming how we made it.
Yes.
This is how it's supposed
Welcome,
to happen
welcome.
when you reach your famous. The algorithm turned to a maniac. I guess we going viral cause my zodiac. I got all these numbers on my spreadsheet. Benjamin Franklin is
W
my
have it in the
bestie.
chat.
And if they is my ex, that mean they left me. They don't get replies if they text me. I say it with my chest cause
Here
I
goes,
mean it.
ladies and gentlemen.
Got a lot of confidence and I'm conceited. Call me the master with a new whip. I'ma take off in the
Here's the Zeus
spaceship.
hater.
I'll tell you what, I haven't gone into Zeus's live in a couple of days. That shit was
Here you go.
radical. It was horrible. I'm like, Zeus has gone way off the rails.
It's like deja vu.
They just say it every
It's
single
like
time.
deja vu.
It's like deja vu every morning, right?
It's like deja vu.
All right. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show. Once again, we are back in the Thunderdome. Good morning, Tiffany, for the people. All right. W's in the chat for heaven. All right. Once again, we are back in the Thunderdome. I am your host. I'm your pilot, and you know exactly why we are here. Let's get this going real quick. There we go. Get the backup on deck just in case things get a little off the rails. Many of you know exactly why we are gathered here this lovely, what is today? Thursday morning, April 17th. We got a lot of work to get taken care of, all right, in terms of saving this great country of ours from the evil clutches of you-know-who. But before we get started, let's take care of some housekeeping items. For those of you who do not know who I am, I go by the name Zeus, or as some like to say, Triple H, and why do they call me Triple H, ladies and gentlemen? Well, it's quite simple. The first H is well because I'm honest. I really am the most honest person on social media, hands down. I mean, the way I can do what I do, second to none. All right. The second H is because I'm very, very humble. Listen, if I get it wrong, quiet as it is kept, I will apologize. All right. But here's the thing: just because I've hurt your feelings, that does not mean I owe you an apology. It most likely means you need to really sit your special behinds down and continue to listen to this special broadcast. All right, and then the last and the final H, ladies and gentlemen, which many of you know honestly is one of the most important H's, is because I am and will always remain, you've guessed it, the most handsome. Many of you know exactly why we are gathered here. What we got to do is save this great country of ours from the evil clutches of Donald J. Trump and his legion of MAGA demons who are also considered Trump supporters, in my opinion, right? And what we know is that these people are hell-bent on destroying this great country of ours because they don't got any love in their hearts. These people are filled not with love, they're filled with hate. They're not Christians, they're hypocrites, they're liars, they're demons. These people, as far as I'm concerned, they're living a lie. You know, they need to listen to that song Michael Jackson made called Man in the Mirror and make that change and really get on your knees and do it too, because what we're seeing, ladies and gentlemen, is the regime, the Trump regime. It's literally imploding on itself. There's so much scheming and conniving going on. They can't even trust each other now. Who do you trust, MAGA? If you really sat down, Trump supporters, and you think about it, who in the Trump administration do you really trust at this point? One thing's crystal clear. There's not one Democrat in there. So when this house of cards, W. Rhea in the chat, so when this house of cards comes crashing down, MAGA, I find it all joy. I count it all joy that you will not be able to blame President Biden. By the way, shout out to President Biden. You won't be able to blame Kamala Harris. You won't even be able to blame me, Big Zeus. You're going to have to blame yourselves because your ignorance, your foolishness, right? It's really an example of what the good book says, the blind leading the blind has got you in this predicament that you are in. So before I go any further, especially when I start going through my content, I gotta check with the audience real quick. Is there any Trump supporters out here? Anyone out there that still think Donald Trump is doing a great job? Just say yes. I don't need you to come up here right now. All right. Because I leave my platform open to all, because I got to do it like that. Right. Because I consider what we're doing out here. What we're doing is we're trying to heal the sick. All right. Not all of us are sick, but there's some folks out there that are clearly sick. Right. And you know you're sick if you voted for Donald Trump. Case closed. If you voted for Donald Trump, you're sick, all right? And you could be physically sick or you could be spiritually sick, but we're going to get you the treatment you need. We're going to get you your medicine. And if anything, we'll leave some kibble out for you. W. Zeus. So any Trump supporters out there real quick? Let's see where are the Trump supporters at. You guys should be head over heels about Donald Trump. I'm looking for them. I just need one person to say, yes, I'm still supporting Trump. Anyone out there still supporting Donald Trump? Let's just show us who you are. Reveal yourself, demon, real quickly. It won't take long. All right. Okay, Iron. Thank you, Iron. I appreciate that. Well, listen, Iron, if you do not want me or any of my good associates out here to ruin your breakfast, lunch, dinner, or in between, you might want to leave this live, all right? I know Marsha is here somewhere because, like I said, it's going to get very, very uncomfortable for you with all this truth coming out, all right? It'll ruin your breakfast, lunch, and dinner and everything in between. And if you don't want to experience that, you might want to go leave. All right, now listen to your leader.
If you're not happy here, then you can leave. As far as I'm concerned, if you hate our country, if you're not happy here, you can leave. If you're not happy in the U.S., if you're complaining all the time, very simply, you can leave. You can leave right now.
Yeah.
Come back if you want. Don't come back. It's okay too. But if you're not happy, you can leave.
There you go. So that means the games begin. what do I want to do and how do I want to start today off? Oh, I know what I want to do. I want to get today's story started out with it's a series that comes on CNN sometimes, and whenever it comes on, I promise you, it just really makes me feel good. What we got, ladies and gentlemen, is a Trump supporter is sharing how she was hoping to see things on the up and up with Donald Trump. All right. But now she sees him in action with his shirt off and his pecs showing, because, you know, they think he's Rambo, and she's having second thoughts about supporting her dear leader. And so what we want to do is we want to go ahead and get this information entered into the record. Now, listen, I've seen the poll, and I know a lot of people that voted for Donald Trump. Some of you, most of you, I should say, you're still supporting this man, right? Because it just hasn't been enough yet. But some of you, you're listening to these kind of shows on TikTok. You're looking at your 401ks and your savings account. You're running businesses and your businesses aren't doing so hot right now. And you're going, you know what? I'm starting to think Joe Biden was actually not a bad choice, right? And these are the people we're talking to, because these are the ones that are sick and they are in need of a physician. So let's listen to what this woman has to say, and then we'll get to judgment. All right.
I wanted you. You wanted you. Yep. There was no way in hell I wanted her out there. But now I don't know what would have been better. What were you expecting? I was expecting the lower cost of a lot of just your everyday living things and hoping that he would make things better for everybody in America, because that's what we need. Groceries are already outrageous, and then we put the tariffs on across the seas or whatever, like China, all that. It just makes everything more expensive for everybody.
Jamie Basinger is the only person we met in eastern South Dakota who openly questioned her own political views. Most people we talked to said it was risky to talk about politics here, even as the effects of Trump's tariffs loomed over the agricultural economy in an area that voted for him by about 70%. Generally, opinions were divided between trust Trump's plan and how can you still like this guy.
Wait, so Becky, let me ask one thing. Are you in a politically mixed marriage?
Yeah, did you see the Joe Biden sign? I'd just like to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah.
Becky Hofer was not afraid to talk.
Here it goes.
She's a Democrat, and her husband is a conservative non-voter. She's a freight broker. Basically, if a company needs to ship bricks, she'll find you a flatbed truck. If you need to ship meat, she'll get you a refrigerated truck.
Ooh, you need the truck tomorrow? Can you guys, fork a pallet jack into the back of the trailer for him to pallet jack him to the front?
This gives her a window into real-time shifts in the economy.
Listen to this.
Everybody's nervous. People are making different decisions for different reasons, but, some of it's hesitation, some of it's actual price changes. Everybody just wants some stability right now.
Yeah.
And those shifts can be complex. She says China's retaliatory tariffs on American pork and beef could lead to higher prices on fruit.
Ooh.
Right now it's produce season in California. We need to get out to California. What goes out to California? Meat. We haul pork. We haul beef. Where does it go? It goes to Asia. If it doesn't go, the price of produce is going to go up even that much more because they're going to have to pay more for the trucks.
As we've talked about, you're in a really conservative area, very pro-Trump area. Do you feel frustrated in trying to talk to your neighbors about what's going on?
Yeah, it's the biggest thing that frustrates me is that I just feel like nobody cares right now until it affects them. And I don't understand how they don't see that. They're not dumb. These people aren't dumb. And they're not unkind people.
Oh.
And selfish people.
Oh.
And thoughtless people, so I don't understand why they're okay with it.
So she's a Democrat, but she's married to a Republican in South Dakota, and she's basically at a point in her business, and she's going, why don't Trump supporters understand that at the end of the day, they will be the ones that are suffering? Well, ma'am, I'll take over from here. I'll help you understand. These people, they're not as nice as they come across, all right? And all you got to do is tell them the truth to activate the MAGA demon inside of them, like I do, right? And so what's going on is this. These people, they are filled with evil, all right? They are filled with hatred, and they are willing to suffer at their dear leader's hands just to get their lick back, all right? And they're really upset because we don't fall for the lies. And one of the lies that we will never, ever fall for is this lie that January 6th was somehow a peaceful protest and that Nancy Pelosi orchestrated. I will never, ever let that happen. And one of the things that we will not let them get over on us is this thing that involves this man, Maryland man, right? Kilmar Garcia. They're trying to paint him out to be a criminal, but I keep telling you, Trump supporters, you no longer have the ability to speak on issues of moral substance because the moment you voted for Donald Trump, you forfeited that. So the only thing that you have really to go off of is what the law says. And the law says bring him back. And you won't do that either. So not only are you a bunch of liars and evil individuals, but you're also a bunch of hypocrites at the same time. So what we're going to do, ladies and gentlemen, let's kick this show off the right way. Let's warm up this lake of fire. Because they asked me why do I send these Trump supporters straight to hell? This is why. Because your soul is on the line and you don't give a darn. So if you don't care, why should I? Ladies and gentlemen, you know what we got to do. I don't care.
Silence, you MAGA demon.
Yesterday, I had an interesting live. This brother gets into my box and he starts bragging and boasting about all of these skill sets. And he knows exactly who he is. And I had to think about this. And I said, we have a serious crisis in this country with these people. Your enemy is not China. I'm going to continue to say this. Your enemy is not China. Your enemy is not Canada. It's not Greenland. It's not Mexico. Your enemy, MAGA, is yourself. All right. All you really have to do is pick up a book and actually start to learn and enroll in a college or something. All right. Zeus. Learn how to do basic things like reading, writing, and math. All right, and then you'll understand why we're on this why we are in this situation that we are in. We do not need somebody like Donald Trump lying to us every day in order for us to survive. All right, now you seem to have that issue, but not us. The next thing I wanted to talk about, ladies and gentlemen, was what we have is the canary in the coal mine, Jerome Powell. Many of you saw what he said yesterday at the Economic Club in Chicago. And this is another sign. I mean, when you have Jerome Powell having to get out here and sing to the American people about just how dangerous things are getting with our economy, you can't help but wonder how many people are actually capable of understanding what he is talking about. I would encourage, especially MAGA, go listen to this man because he has no reason to lie to you. What is he getting out of lying to you about on anything, right? And you could tell that he's telling the truth because he activated the MAGA demon inside of Trump, and Trump went onto his social media platform and attacked him like he attacks anyone that tells the truth about his chaotic plans, which we all know have clearly harmed America. And it's harmed America. Hey, I got to ask MAGA, has China bent the knee yet? Has China bent the knee, MAGA? I'm just curious. Has China bent the knee? Because remember, they were supposed to bend the knee, and he has all these countries begging to make a deal with him. I'm just curious right now. Anyone out there? W. Zeus.
So far is significantly larger than anticipated, and the same is likely to be true of the economic effects, which will include higher inflation and slower growth.
Did you hear that? Higher inflation and slower growth. So MAGA, who should you listen to? Your dear leader or Jerome Powell? All right, the one that's actually hands-on with the work. And again, I have to say this especially to Blagga. I go back and forth with Blagga quite a bit, and I kind of think I used to identify with them until I actually started to put myself into these basically, you got to do your history, and you got to actually be very objective, and you got to actually start picking up knowledge and learning it from wherever you can. You start to realize, there's games being played on both sides. That's true. But if you're not able to at least be consistent with the logic, then you're in deep, deep trouble. To the Blagga out there, I want you to understand this. If everyone in the country, I got to say it in the way that they get it, because right now they don't feel it, right? And they think, if everyone in the country, Blagga, goes broke, what do you think is going to happen to you? The little that you thought wasn't enough, it's actually going to be a lot worse. You won't see a crying dime. Imagine this, MAGA. Everybody's broke, right? You think you're broke now. There's levels to this, and you're not understanding that, unfortunately, instead, because you should have been holding the line, all right? You know the stories that you learned in high school. For those of you who actually made it through high school, you learned at early age. Rosa Parks, Harriet Tubman, you know all of the leaders, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X. You knew, and it was taught to you. Either your mama and your daddy or your grandmama and your grandpappy, your aunties, your uncles, they taught y'all. This used to happen in America, and we've made progress, all right? But you still need to understand what type of time we are on. And you all that voted for Donald Trump, you forgot this. You seem to have, you know what I say, you took the poison. You took the poison, and you thought we had overcome, because, you know, you sing that song, we shall overcome. And you said, you know what, battle's over. We're going to go over here and do our thing out here in these streets. And look at where it's gotten you now. A lot of you are in a lot of deep trouble, and you don't even know which way is left. You don't know which way is right. And so you just think Donald Trump is the way out. I got the bad news for you, Trump supporters. Donald Trump is not the way out. He is the way in, all right, into a life of sin, all right? And so why I'm going to continue to be hard on Blagga is because they know better. Just on the fundamentals, y'all knew better, and y'all went out here and did this, and now you're going to be asking us to help you, and we're going to go, you know what? Hard head makes for a soft, you know what? Hey, MAGA, Blagga, go listen to Jerome Powell, okay?
Both survey and market-based measures of near-term inflation expectations have moved up significantly, with survey participants pointing to tariffs. Survey measures of longer-term inflation expectations, for the most part, appear to remain well anchored as well. Market-based break-evens continue to run close to 2%. So, as we gain a better understanding of the policy changes, we'll have a better sense of the implications for the economy and hence for monetary policy.
Hit them with it, Jerome.
Tariffs are highly likely to generate at least a temporary rise in inflation.
Tariffs are likely to, at least for now, generate a temporary rise in inflation. This is coming from an expert, Blagga. And I went online and I see how you guys get down. A lot of these Blagga folks, they sell t-shirts and stuff like that. And I got bad news. If your t-shirts don't cost what Donald Trump is selling his t-shirts for, you're in deep, deep trouble. You're taking a loss and you're terrible at business. If you're selling your t-shirt for $30, you need to go look at Donald Trump's website and ask yourself, is he selling his for $30 or has he already marked them up? I think he's selling his t-shirt for $40, MAGA, 40, maybe even 50. Why are you behind? Zeus. I see y'all, and I gotta help y'all understand how ridiculous you are out here looking. You cannot get over on these tariffs, Black. I want y'all to understand this. Y'all ain't exempt.
The inflationary effects could also be more persistent. Avoiding that outcome will depend on the size of the effects, on how long it takes for them to pass through fully to prices, and ultimately on keeping longer-term inflation expectations well anchored.
Wow.
Our obligation is to keep longer-term inflation expectations well anchored and to make certain that a one-time increase in the price level does not become an ongoing inflation problem. As we act to meet that obligation, we will balance our maximum employment and price stability mandates, keeping in mind that without price stability, we cannot achieve the long periods of strong labor market conditions that benefit all Americans.
Oh.
We may find ourselves in the challenging scenario in which our dual mandate goals are in tension. If that were to occur, we would consider how far the economy is from each goal and the potentially different time horizons over which those respective gaps would be anticipated to close.
Ooh.
As that great Chicagoan Ferris Bueller once noted, life moves pretty fast. For the time being, we are well positioned to wait for greater clarity.
So somebody just wrote nothing but a word salad. See, this is why it's almost like, are we wasting our time trying to get you to wake up, MAGA? If you're not able to understand these words, it's then, to me, maybe it's coming across like it's a different language because he's talking in English. He's talking in clear English. And I thought about what you just said, and I said, this is the same thing you said about Kamala Harris. So So MAGA, I want you to understand this, and this is why you often think that I'm condescending or that I'm very tough on you. A lot of the information that is being openly shared out here, it's up here, right? It's up here. And there's honestly, it's very hard to bring it down to here, all right? Because each word means something. And so what you're struggling to come to grips with, MAGA, is you need to elevate. It's not that, these people need to come down to your level. I mean, we try, but the burden is really on you. If you find people that are coming down to your level to try to get you to go along with what they're doing, like this guy, chances are they know they're doing that and they're just doing it to try to get something out of you. Perhaps something like your vote, W. Zeus. So to all the Trump supporters that think what Jerome Powell is saying makes absolutely no sense, W. Dark Angel, thank you so much. Shame on you. And this is why I always say it during my show. Just sit your special behinds down and listen to this special broadcast. It's funny the way that I say it, but I'm saying it to help you understand where you're at and where the rest of us are at. Think about it. All right? These people that are currently being impacted are people who are on the front lines. They run businesses. They directly engage with these countries as a result of their business. And they're saying, this is bad news. And then you Trump supporters, y'all will turn around and say these people who are on the front lines are spewing word salads because they don't get it how you get it. And where are you? Well, I'm sitting on my couch in a double wide, maybe even a single wide, watching Sean Hannity with a box of Cheez-Its and sipping on this Diet Coke with Donald Trump's social media feed scrolling through my phone. So clearly I'm the smart one. You know what, ladies and gentlemen, I think I need to do it again. We got to get another round of booze and shame to these Trump supporters, to all the Trump supporters that continue to let information that's being shared freely, knowledge. They say knowledge is power, right? But you tend to, you squander it, right? And you say it's irrelevant. It's a word salad. Do us a huge favor and go straight to hell.
Silence, you MAGA demon.
I'll give you another example of what I'm talking about, MAGA. Are there any Trump supporters out there that have healthcare issues? Any Trump supporters out there that rely on hospitals for anything? Any of y'all got any health conditions out there? Maybe, and I'm saying this seriously. Any of you dealing with cancer or anything like that? Maybe you've contracted long C-19 or anything like that. Y'all got any health issues out there? Or should I believe every single Trump supporter is healthy? Because I've seen a lot of y'all, and y'all don't look like y'all in shape. But any of you out of shape, you got high blood pressure, and I'm specifically saying this to MAGA, because if you have any health conditions, if you rely on a hospital at all for anything, all right, this is very important for you to understand, all right? Donald Trump, they said this, and I'm going to share it with you because we got to get it on the record. They are formulating plans to cut roughly a third of the federal health budget, eliminating dozens of programs. All right. And we're talking about programs linked to the NIH. What a lot of you do not get is the medicines that you take. Once upon a time, long ago, those medicines weren't available, right? But they became available as a result of millions and millions and millions of taxpayers' dollars being allocated to universities all over this country. Universities like Harvard, Yale, Columbia, etc. John Hopkins. You know that boy DJ that you all saw at the State of the Union? And y'all said, look at him. Look at how Donald Trump loves this young man. And he gave him that, Secret Service honorarium appointment, whatever. And you say the Democrats were so wrong to not stand up when Trump did that stunt. Well, what if I were to tell you, Trump supporters, that y'all have now basically given all the kids like DJ an unaliving sentence. You did. You did that because you've allowed your dear leader, all right, to use his power, and actually he abused, all right, to use his power, and actually he abused it. And he's now taking away the funding, right, that these agencies had that actually helped to make moments like that, what you saw in the State of Union at the Union, possible. Without the funding that these universities get to help come up with these cures, that moment you all seem to have really enjoyed during the State of the Union, it wouldn't have been possible. Did you know that, MAGA? Have any of you Trump supporters actually been to any of these universities and actually gone inside of a lab and looked at how clinical trials are worked or done? Have you ever done that? Have you ever applied for any federal funding to actually qualify for that money? Or do you think that somehow Joe Biden and the Democrats secretly went into a back room with these colleges and just said, how much do you need? And then they said, I need this. And then they just said, shh, don't tell anybody. Just take this money and go do whatever you want to do on the taxpayer. You think that's what happened, MAGA? W. Seuss. So, MAGA, I want to make sure you understand something very clearly. Whatever progress that we've currently made as a country in terms of our research, especially around, things like cancer and, diabetes and, anything that could be health related, it's been almost cut in a third, right? It's been cut in a third, and maybe even worse, because some of these professors, these researchers, they're seeing what Donald Trump is doing, and they're actually deciding, you know what? You know how LeBron, and when LeBron was in Cleveland, he said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take my talents to South Beach. You remember how much pain that caused the city? Remember? It's the same thing is happening in the research community. A lot of researchers are going, I'm not staying here in the United States to be attacked by this deranged lunatic and his supporters. And so guess what? You can kiss all of your healthcare needs that you had and any future treatments that were planned. You can kiss that goodbye. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, but I had to break that down for the simple-minded folks out there that don't get it. You are a beneficiary of decades of research. When you go there, doctor, something's bothering me. I need some medication. And you know who I'm talking about, especially that knucklehead on the right. I call him Snuggles. Yeah, I had to bring his name up. Snuggles is a disgusting thing you're doing. The healthcare situation that a lot of people in this country are going through, it's really nothing to joke around with. And for you to be someone in need of the healthcare, all right, to go around here and say we don't need it while you secretly benefited, it's a disgusting thing. And as far as I'm concerned, it's very un-American. Honestly, now that I think about it, you shouldn't tell people in this country lies in order to just try to own the libs. It's not that serious. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to wake your game up, MAGA. Anybody out there that doesn't understand how research funding is directly linked to their survival at this point, but then at the same time, you're going to these hospitals. You don't know if the doctors at those hospitals are Democrats or Republicans. You don't know that, MAGA. You don't know what schools these doctors went to actually become a doctor, do you, MAGA? But you're hell-bent on destroying those same schools because you continue to support Donald J. Trump. I got to do it. Ladies and gentlemen, let me warm up the lake of fire again. This is a disgrace. The only people that are actually proud of you Trump supporters, I would say Donald Trump, but I don't even think he's proud of you as nobody. Ladies and gentlemen, let's send them straight to hell.
Silence, you MAGA demon.
I see some people are getting triggered by the way that I am running my broadcast, but I'm saying this out of real love and concern for our country. But if what I'm saying is getting you upset, it's actually a good thing because that means I'm getting to the MAGA demon inside of you. But if you can't handle it, do us all a huge favor and listen to your dear leader.
If you're not happy here, then you can leave. As far as I'm concerned, if you hate our country, if you're not happy here, you can leave. If you're not happy in the U.S., if you're complaining all the time, very simply, you can leave. You can leave right now. Come back if you want. Don't come back. It's okay too. But if you're not happy, you can leave.
That part. Every single morning I get up and I and before I go to bed, I kind of go through my cycle of things, but actually it's an all day long commitment to try to keep up with the way Donald Trump is trying to divide and distract this country from what he's really trying to do, which is obviously to cram this ridiculous tax cut thing. He's doing these tax cuts for his billionaire friends. He's trying to cram that down the American people's throat, which is obviously going to put our children and our children's children and their children's children's children into all kinds of debt. He doesn't care. Look at how old he is. He's almost done with his life and he's out of here. So this doesn't matter to him and his billionaire friends, but to you, it should matter, right? So if it costs you not being able to go to college, he doesn't care. If it means you got to spend a lot more money at the grocery store, he doesn't care. If that means he has to get you out here, and do this thing where they're going after people in America that are innocent and then sending them to a concentration camp in El Salvador, he doesn't care. And I do have legitimate concerns about whether or not Kilmar is alive, because I thought about it. Remember Jamal Khashoggi? You remember that man, ladies and gentlemen? And I had to think to myself, he sure did seem like he expressed a lot of remorse for that situation, right? So I already know Donald Trump doesn't care, all right? But I expect more out of you Trump supporters. I really do, because a lot of you run around and brand yourselves as Christians and stuff like that. If you're not a Christian, just stop saying you are. That's the thing. Stop claiming to be something you're not. And you get mad when we go, you're a Trump supporter. Well, I'm not a Trump supporter, Zeus. I'm not. Did you vote for Trump? Yes, I voted for Trump. Well, then doggone it, you're a Trump supporter. Well, Zeus, actually, Zeus, what I need you to do is you need to come enroll in this course that I'm teaching on TikTok. It's called what a real Trump supporter is, all right? And what it is you just can't go off of them voting for Donald Trump 3 times, Zeus. No, you actually have to consider and pontificate upon, where they were sitting when they decided to vote for Donald Trump. I mean, you guys make up all kinds of ridiculous excuses, and you think we're going to fall for them. I don't fall for nothing that a Trump supporter says. And a matter of fact, there's a new thing going on. And I said to myself, this is what we need more of. Chicago City Council passes a resolution calling on City Commissioner of Human Resources to exercise discretionary power not to hire any applicant convicted of a crime related to January 6th, 2021 unlawful activities at the Capitol, regardless of recent clemency or pardon status. That's what I want to see more of. Because, listen, I would be willing to, if you committed what you did on January 6th and you truly were remorseful, right? That means you've been rehabilitated. I would be cheering you on and I would support you, honestly, trying to get your life back together, because I do believe that's what makes America a great country, right? It's the country of second chances. But a lot of these folks who went into the Capitol on January 6th, they lied because they didn't want to get caught by the FBI. And then now that Donald Trump has pardoned them, they're braggadocious and they're just saying, you know what, it is what it is. I'll do it again for dear leader. And so you haven't been rehabilitated. So until you actually express remorse for your behavior, I feel like that's the step in the right direction, because we got to let people understand we're not going to let you go around here and then say, oh, we have a problem with Kilmar Garcia, the man that's gone to El Salvador that they took him and they kidnapped him, as far as I'm concerned. I have a problem with him, but then we're going to turn around and support Donald J. Trump. It doesn't work, MAGA. You have no ability. So what we'll do, ladies and gentlemen, is this. Let's go to the box and let's talk to MAGA if we can. Any Trump supporters out there that want to get up here and try to defend their dear leader, please put a 1 in the chat and I'll bring you right on up. All right. It won't take long to do this, ladies and gentlemen. Any Trump supporters out there that want to come up here and defend their dear leader, please put a 1 in the chat. All right. And what we'll do is we'll help you see the light. All right. But you got to be willing to be honest. All right. And you got to be willing to have honest conversations. And what we don't want to do is spend a lot of time, what you like to do. I call it the Democrat shuffle. Or you want to go back in ancient history and, you want to talk about when mankind first left Africa and, started expanding through Asia and Eurasia and stuff like that. I don't want to hear any of that. I want you to explain what's going on right now to each and every single one of us in terms of what happened to all of these promises that Donald Trump made during his campaign that he's supposed to be delivering on. He's defying the law. Yeah. If the Supreme Court says do it, you should do it. End of discussion. I don't know how we got to a place in this country. I don't know how we got to a place I don't know how we got to this place in this country where it became acceptable for the sitting president of the United States to say, well, I can either choose to obey the Supreme Court or not. How did we get here? And you can sit here and try to bring up everything Joe Biden did, but it's not going to fly because Joe Biden obeyed the Supreme Court when they said what they said to him, especially when it came to those student loans. All right. Put a 1 in the chat. Oh, okay. Someone says we got here because of the Dems. All right, Demi, come on up here. Demi with a profile picture. I don't know about you, Demi. Put a 1 in the chat if you're a Trump supporter, and I'll bring you right up. Or send me a guest request in the pink and blue. You said Demi is a bootlicker? Ain't that something? Ain't that something? Well, look at this, ladies and gentlemen. It looks like we don't have any brave souls. Oh, you seen Asler? So Asler, he's still around. Is he back in the States yet? Or, have they, because if you go out of the country and then you come back in, they're going to go through your phone and check on you and see if you got anything hateful in it about their dear leader. All right. Let's see. Who do we got? Who do we got? Kelton. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes. You're a Trump supporter? We've spoken before, huh?
Oh, we have.
Oh my God. I think I'm getting I'm starting to recall a little bit, but what do you got for us?
What are you crying about today?
What has your dear leader done so far? I mean, what do you think about him cutting the funding to like NIH and all these agencies underneath the NIH that are actually tied to actually curing, cancer and diabetes and other health related issues? You don't think that's a big deal?
I mean, if you can't specifically speak on exactly what he's cutting, I don't think you need to be talking about it because you don't exactly know what he's cutting.
Oh, okay.
If you just give a broad blanket statement, then yeah, it sounds bad. But if you really want to get down to it, you should probably do your research and
it says the plan.
Exactly what he's cutting.
So the plan calls for steep cuts to the CDC and prevention, which would see the budget reduced by 40% under the administration's proposal.
Cuts.
Okay, so the center programs focuses on chronic disease prevention. Do you think that's important?
I mean, it is, but I'm sure there's a lot of waste.
Okay,
cut it.
Domestic HIV and AIDS prevention, anything
Cut
like
it.
that. All right. So this is
There's a lot of waste.
Yeah, I mean, and so it just hasn't hit you yet, Kelton, and that's all. I think this is where we're at as a nation. Until it hits you and it impacts you, you don't care, right?
No, not necessarily. That's not even the case. There's a lot of waste, man. You got to make cuts. Every president tries to make cuts. Donald Trump's just finally doing it.
If you believe there's a lot of waste, could you give us an example of what you think would be considered waste? Honestly. Because if Donald Trump says it,
a bunch of bullshit research that they try.
Well, why do you got to curse? I mean, these are people's lives that you're actually talking about.
So soft.
These are people's lives that we're talking about, Kelton.
Yeah.
You don't care, right?
Oh no, I care about people's lives.
Do you know anybody? Do you know anybody? Do you know anybody? Do you know anyone that's actually depending on these hospitals in your area? You know anyone that's got any health related issues?
You see how you keep saying this? It's just a blanket statement. You don't know exactly what they're cutting. Why don't you wait and see what they cut before you start talking about it?
Well, I understand.
Maybe you would agree with the cut.
Actually, Kelton, I wouldn't say Zeus doesn't know anything. I don't tell everybody what I do know, but what I can tell you, and I'll say this to you in all seriousness, sir. There are a lot of labs that do clinical trials at various universities that have had to lay off their staff. Right. And when they do this, this means the patients that they are seeing, they will no longer be able to see these patients. You get what I mean?
Yeah, they may no longer see the patients, but the patients will still receive treatment.
Well, if the treatment was what it was, you can't guarantee that they'll receive the treatment, right? Because where are they going to go to get the treatment if the labs and other research tied to that same area are going to be cut? Where are they going to get the treatment? In a lot of these cases,
From the same places.
No, that's not how it works.
It is
So
how it works.
let's just take the Harvard situation where Trump is threatening to take away their tax exempt status. You know what that's going to do?
I'm not worried about Harvard, to be honest with
Or
you.
one of the things it'll do. So in order to qualify for these grants, right, that a lot of these universities get, you got to be a nonprofit, right? So what that's going to theoretically do is just basically take an axe to their ability to get grant funding. Think about that. You don't care?
I don't care about Harvard, no.
Well, it's not just Harvard, but it's happening to all these other universities that the Trump administration is taking aim at. You don't seem to think that perhaps this could somehow have a negative impact on you.
No.
I mean, there's no other way I can put it for you. I mean, I think that's the easiest way I can simplify this. And unfortunately, you're just coming across like you don't care. Right? Yeah, okay. Well, listen, I don't got anything else for you.
How do you feel about the Abrigo case?
I've already covered that, but I don't think that anybody that voted for Donald Trump really should speak on it.
Why? You're speaking on it.
Well, what is your issue with him?
He's a gang member. Get him out of here.
So in other words, he's a criminal?
Yeah, he's a criminal. He beat his wife.
Okay. Now I'm gonna need you to understand something. What if
He
I
beat
were?
his wife. Are you okay with that?
No, listen, I'm not okay with that.
Okay. Well, then,
Okay,
do you
but-
think he's not a criminal because he beat his wife?
Can you not say that? Say, I get it. You get it.
Say
I
what?
get.
Beat? I can't say beat.
No, I don't like you saying
That's
that.
not. I know because it doesn't fit your narrative.
No,
That's funny.
No. But what if I were to share with you? What I'm going to do is get this story queued up about Donald Trump and what he did to Ivana.
Don't deflect.
No.
Deflect. That's called a deflection.
No. You
Zeus.
opened this door.
That's a
No.
deflection, Zeus.
Kelton,
Talk about what we're talking about.
Kelton. No,
Talk
but this
about
is.
what we're talking about, Zeus. That's a deflection.
Do you remember
Right?
me saying I don't like letting MAGA speak on this issue? Remember that?
Because it doesn't fit your narrative anymore.
No,
huh? Now
no.
the court documents have come out, so you don't want to talk about it. That's why you just deflected. You just deflected. How bad is that deflection you just did? You just deflected.
No. Can you
Concede
just?
that you just deflected?
I'm gonna mute you, and then I want to get this on the record, and then you and I can talk. And so this is a statement out of about what Donald Trump did. All right, to his wife.
I want to hear a deflection, man.
No. Can I read it?
Yeah, we can read it after we finish talking about this.
You sure you don't want me to read what Donald Trump did to his wife,
You can
Ivana?
absolutely read it after we're
Okay.
done talking about Abreu,
Well-
the other guy.
Well,
who beat his wife.
can we agree what Donald Trump did was worse?
We'll discuss
Can-
that.
no,
after.
no, can
Stop
we agree-
deflecting.
Can we
Can
agree
you
with
just
Donald?
not deflect?
Can we
Can you
agree
just
with
not deflect for real? Come on, Zeus.
Kelton?
You're smarter than that.
Kelton.
You're smarter than that, Zeus. Let's just one
I've-
thing at a time here.
I-
I'll
for-
discuss what you want to.
Okay. So the thing that you're accusing him of doing was DV.
No, his wife accused it.
Okay, it's considered DV. So let's agree on that. And I understand that it was never prosecuted, correct?
Right, but it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but for the sake of this discussion, anybody that does that is a terrible person. Definitely the fullest extent of the law needs to be applicable to them.
And you're defending him.
No, I'm
You're
not
defending
defending.
that guy.
I'm not defending the conduct. What I am defending is the rule of law, right? And the rule of law is completely different. We haven't seen any evidence that links him directly to this gang that they're suggesting he's been a part of,
There's
and they've
court
actually.
documents that say he
Well,
is.
no. Then
From
what's
ICE from
then what is
immigration,
then what is the administrative error? What is the administrative error then that's gotten this thing to where it's at? Then Kelton, what is it?
Oh, I don't even know. to be honest with you.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter.
No. Oh,
Doesn't
actually,
matter.
okay. So now
He
that
has due process.
no,
He has due process.
Well, why did the Supreme Court in a 9-0 ruling say bring him back or facilitate bringing him back?
Yeah, there you go. Facilitate. Bringing
Why
him
did they
back.
say that?
See how y'all are all bending the truth around what that actually court ruling
Okay,
says?
so what I'll do
Did
is
you
this,
read the
Kelton.
third-
Kelton.
Did you read the second page of that court ruling?
Kelton. What I'll do is this.
Did you read the
W Zeus, because Kelton is dodging, and now Kelton. This is where the slam dunk comes. This is where the
You
slam.
just- Hold on. You deflected for 5 minutes. Now you're saying I'm dodging? I know I'm choking you up, man. You can't handle it.
Oh my gosh, it's
You're
so
off your game this morning.
All right,
Again.
Kelton. So here's the other
This is
side.
twice. Actually, this is three
Kelton.
times I've done this to you now.
Okay. So Kelton can't contain himself. I've obviously
Three
activated
times
them.
I've done this to you.
Kelton, let me ask you this. So what they're saying in there's
Come on,
reports,
get it out.
Donald Trump, he raped his wife Ivana, and that came out in the divorce papers. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I don't like that.
But you support him.
I do support him, yes.
And then you also support him knowing that he lost his court case against E. Jean Carroll?
I think she lied.
So you think his wife lied and E. Jean Carroll lied?
His wife could have lied, yes.
So
I know E. Jean Carroll lied. I really feel like she did.
But the courts say otherwise, though.
Right.
Okay. All right. So
But I
considering
have my opinion.
Yeah, so considering that, Kelton, because I don't want to get into the harassment and bullying that TikTok wants to get me on, right? So I'm going to just say we're going to agree to disagree, but I'm going to explain to you, for you to support Donald Trump knowing that he raped his wife and he said these things about it. He said nasty things about his daughters, Ivanka. Remember, do you want me to play what he said about Ivanka?
No.
Okay. You've lost all credibility to speak on anyone being a criminal or anything of moral
Why do you have
value.
credibility to speak on Abreu?
Because
on this other guy.
Because this is about the rule of law.
You've seen now what he's done.
No, I haven't.
Hold on. That's hypocritical of you to point that out for me, but not for you. You now see what he has done through court documents, and you're still supporting him.
Well, no, I don't see what he's done. Remember the administrative error.
Hold on.
What is the administrative error?
You read he beat his wife. You know that.
I read the paper, the report. It was the report that his wife wrote.
By her, that did what? He did what?
It showed it showed DV.
More than once.
It showed
right. You still support
actually
him.
I got to hit the mute on that. It implicated there was assault going on. It was never prosecuted.
Right.
But I read it. No.
But you support him, right?
Can you
so
listen
don't be
to
hypocritical.
I got to mute you. I don't support any man that does that. But
support that guy.
But can we agree that it was never prosecuted?
Same with Trump.
No, but this is the thing. You all like to say with Trump, women make up stuff all the time. That's your thing, and that's why you say E. Jean Carroll lied. You think she's making it up. Right. Yeah. So you would actually have to be consistent with your logic and say the same thing.
And I say the same to you.
About Jennifer Vasquez.
You're not being consistent with your logic, Zeus.
Okay, all right, Kelton. So we're gonna agree to disagree because this is.
There you go.
All right, but I think what you're doing is you're trying to have your cake
I'm winning,
and eat it
Zeus.
too.
That's what's happening.
Okay.
W for Kelton in the chat.
All right.
All right,
Kelton. Well, we'll see, Kelton. All right, brother.
W for Kelton.
Kelton, and I don't even want to call you brother, but I got to be nice on TikTok. Kelton, listen. All I'm going to do is get straight to it. Ladies and gentlemen, you know what that means.
Silence, you MAGA demon.
And I'm going to stand on business with this. When MAGA gets in here and tries to have an issue with people being criminals, I'm always going to hold the mirror up to them and say, you voted for this. You did. When you read the story about Trump being deposed and what his wife said he did to her about the hair plugs, it's evil. You heard him say, when you're a celebrity, women let you do it. He called it locker room talk. You see the E. Jean Carroll thing and 26 other women. When MAGA gets into my box and they try to say they have an issue with a particular individual because they think he's a criminal, my mind can't help but wonder, well, what about Trump pardoning all the January 6ers? If y'all really had a problem with criminals, right, you would be consistently saying, nope, 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 and you wouldn't have voted for Donald Trump. So I'm not going to fall for it. If this man did what he did to his wife at the time, prosecute him. Period. All right, and do what the law says do. The issue that we're dealing with now is the law said bring him back into the country because you just can't go around here making administrative errors and sending people to weird places on the planet to be harmed. Two separate issues, MAGA. two separate issues. But again, you will always lose this argument because the moment you try to say something about this person being a bad person, everyone can instantly bring up Donald Trump and the fact that you voted for him. W. Zeus. Alrighty then. All right. Let's go. Good morning, Marissa. Welcome. I don't get to talk to you that much, Marissa. Nice to see ya. Good morning. Good morning. Are you there, Marissa? It's still patching you through. I hope you didn't accidentally send me a guest request. DJ, no DJ, it's not Marissa. I think there's something going on with your connection. Maybe you could try again. Try sending me another request, and maybe it will allow you to come through. Oh, look at that, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, look at that. We are being blessed by Jim. Jim, are you there?
Yeah. Good morning. I wanted to come up and give Kelton a W for weak.
Oh,
I wanted to give Kelton a W for washed up.
oh,
I wanted to give Kelton a W for wimpy. I wanted to give Kelton a W for winners don't have to ride the jock of a convicted felon or an adjudicated rapist. They don't do that. So let's just be very clear on what the W stands for MAGA, who support a man who have to have their entire identity some other man's name, who walk around wearing hats and clothing that have another man's name on it. That's how weak men like Kelton are. So let's keep remembering, everybody, that the W for MAGA is for weakness. It is for washed up. It is for worn out. It is for wasted. It is for literally every other W you can think of that pertains to these weenies that are in the White House. Yeah, let's W for weenies in the White House. Yeah. Let's be very clear that white men, another big W, there you go, white men, have to ride the jock of another white man because they want so much, want another W, want to be like the weak weenie White House puppet that is in there. So there's your W's, Kelton, you weak little washed out wimpy little wiener man who rides the jock of another white man. Jesus Christ. Here's another W for you. Wife beater, because Trump is a wife beater that his wife actually, another W, wife, wrote about in her novel. And he literally had to sue his own wife to literally have that taken out of her book because he threatened her repeatedly. Like he does all the other women. Here's another W for you. Women in his life that he has to abuse them in order to get what he wants for them. Or he has to write, here's another W, write them a check to pay for services. Yeah, that's the type of man you went for. So for all the W's in there, give Kelton all those W's for the weak little washed up wimpy white man who has to ride the jock and use the name of another white male. There you go.
Woo!
How you like that for W?
W, Jim!
So I want to remind people, our Constitution, regardless of your migrant status, if you are on U.S. soil, you have a right to due process. If you are on U.S. soil, you have a right to be heard, to provide evidence, testimony, and any other form that protects you. He was in this country under legal status because he was threatened in El Salvador, and a court said there was enough evidence to grant him asylum and legal status of a protection order. The fact that any person can come into your box at this point, Zeus, and harm this man the way they are harming him shows everything it is about MAGA. And I'm going to say this again. We, the American people, do not need MAGA. We do not need MAGA. What we need from MAGA is for them to crawl back under the rocks and the dirt that they came from out of, and make them recognize that without light, they cannot grow. They will not grow. They are nothing but reconstituted crap that comes back into the soil. This is a time that America needs to recognize it.
You got
I know they violate me because little people like Tiny Tim have to do that. I love you all. Remember what W stands for: weak white men.
W, Jim. You can send a guest request, I think, and come back, Jim. I think you might be able to, if you can, to come on back, if you don't mind, because I didn't want to cut you off, but you see, I mean, the guest got to go further than I can. W, Kabira. I don't know if you could come back up, Jim, but if you can, please come on back and finish it up, all right? Because we're gonna make sure they don't get away with what they did or they're trying to do. Welcome back.
Hi. I just want to remind everybody that we, the people, for the people, have to come together to recognize that hate and fear are not the way that we are going to run this country. But we are going to hold their feet to the fire. Yes. We are going to hold them accountable for the crimes that they are committing, the corruption that we are witnessing. And for everybody in here, I don't care if there's an R next to your name or a D next to your name. If you think that it is appropriate to claim waste, fraud, and abuse and then show no evidence of it, if you think it's appropriate that allocated congressional funds are being stolen by this administration to pay off the debts in this country or for them to pocket, if you think that's appropriate when it was allocated by Congress to pay for whether it's health and human services or to provide grants to students or to provide pay for federal workers and veterans, 1 million federal workers were fired. 83,000 veterans were fired.
Wow.
15,000 service members were fired. Wow. Why? Because they are stealing the American people's money that is used to keep our country running. Wow. It makes us weak. It makes us dangerously subdued because these people are stealing our ability to protect our nation. And we have to stop this.
Thank you.
We have to stop this in its tracks now. And we can no longer sit idly by and let racism and hate and the attack on our civil rights, our human rights, our women's rights, our educational rights, and a disbelief in science and math. When they can make you believe the absurdities, they can make you commit atrocities.
Oh, can you say that again for the people in the back, Jim? Because you just dropped a jewel, seriously, on their minds, and I'm concerned it might have went over their heads.
When they can make you believe absurdities, they can make you commit atrocities. Every single day.
Thank you. Wow.
I love you guys. I just wanted to come up and remind you that this message has been brought to you by Sesame Street and the PBS special. That W stands for weak white males.
Oh, no lies detected. W.
Here's another W for you. The future is female, but women will rule the world. Ooh. Women will rule the world.
Amen. I love you all. Amen. 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 Will you keep the door to the floor like that? No tadpole wiggle tail is going to get through. W, Jim. Y'all show her some love. She comes up here and she does what she does. I don't know how she does it, but she can say a lot more than Big Zeus can, and I know you all understand what she said. All righty then. All right now, Jim.
All. Peace out. Have a great weekend. Bye.
You too. We might need you to come back up here depending on what's going on. W, Jim, in the chat. Make no mistake, W. Rick, and thank you everyone that was sending the gifts. All right, I didn't get to say thank you to you while you were doing it, but thank you. It's a real sign that, you know, getting up every day and doing a show like this needs to happen because it's very important we continue to change and not only get the narrative out there about what's really going on, but we're also pushing back We're pushing back on the administration in terms of their lies and just all of the things they're making up to try to get away with what they're doing. Yeah, they're taking the money and they're lying to the American people about it. All right. If you're a Trump supporter, please put a 1 in the chat and then I'll bring you up. Hopefully you'll be willing to at least be honest with us and not just get up here and be a contrarian and a nasty person. What we're really trying to do is to activate and unlock what's going on inside of your mind, all right? Some call it a dopamine injection of truth, so to speak, right? But what we're really trying to do is to get you to start waking up and realizing that if you do not get off this sinking ship that you are on, hell will be your portion, all right? Put a 1 in the chat if you're a Trump supporter. I'll bring you right on up here. And she's right. We don't need MAGA. Jim is totally right. We don't need you. All right. As you can see, isn't this show, ladies and gentlemen, isn't this show quite successful with just Big Zeus and friends? Isn't this show relatively successful without us talking to MAGA? I mean, we bring you up because obviously we want to know what you if you're rehabilitated, if we can rehabilitate you. We bring you up, but at the end of the day, if you don't come up, it's just going to be an overwhelming amount of facts, data, and statistics and truth coming out here so fast, it'll make your head spin, all right? And we don't care if we end up hurting your feelings at all, because the greatest harm that's going on in this country right now is being done by uninformed Trump supporters who are hell-bent on supporting a man who's going to send this country into what we all know is going to be a 1929 style depression, one worse than the Great Depression, because guess what? In this depression, there's not going to be any eggs. W. Zeus. You want to know who's a homegrown criminal? You want to know what a homegrown criminal is? Well, look no further, buddy. You found him right there. That's a homegrown criminal. Hiring Pete Hegseth with all those tattoos, and that's not a merit-based hire. We all know Pete Hegseth is a DEI hire, or as you know the streets say, a DUI hire. We are not falling for the lies, MAGA. Not over here. All right, put a 1 in the chat if you are a Trump supporter, and I'll bring you right on up here. All right, we don't got all morning to do this same song and dance. All righty then, who do we got? Who do we got next, ladies and gentlemen? Who do we got next? T-Mac. Oh, okay. T-Mac, are you a Trump supporter, T-Mac?
Say, but God loves you that long.
T-Mac, that's a lot of noise. It's a lot of noise. It's a lot of noise, T-Mac. Maybe come on back. Lovely Jubbly, come on up here. You said you're a Trump supporter. I sent you an invite. Why don't you come on up here and I'll let you say whatever is on your mind. I try to run it a bit like a town hall, right? You can say whatever you want to say as long as you keep it clean. But for the most part, someone wrote Pete Keg's breath. That's a good one. Any Trump supporters out there? Please put a 1 in the chat. I'll bring you right on up here real quickly. We don't got all morning to do the same song and dance. All right, you know what? Let's keep it going then. We're just going to keep the show on the road, ladies and gentlemen. Let me go ahead and bring up my good friend Nutty. Because I invited them up here and they don't want to come up. Good morning, Nutty. How you doing, Ari, the beautiful Ari? Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing all right. You?
So I have a question about Mr. Garcia.
Mm-hmm.
So we were talking about due process, which is outlined in the 5th and the 14th Amendment. People keep talking about and keep saying that he was illegal, that he was supposed to be deported.
Yeah.
But the Constitution tells us that due process is given to anyone that's subject to the jurisdiction of the United States of America. So that means if you are on the soil of the United States of America, be it undocumented or documented, are you not under the jurisdiction of the United States of America?
You are.
So now that we have that established, the Supreme Court of the United States of America is said to be the highest court in the land, correct?
That is correct.
And I believe the order that the Supreme Court put down for the Trump administration was to facilitate and effectuate the return of Mr. Garcia from the El Salvadorian prison, correct?
That is my understanding.
So with that being said, if the Trump administration defies the order of the Supreme Court of the United States of America, then we are in a constitutional crisis, are we not?
That is my understanding, or as the judge suggested, there's probable cause?
Well, listen, he is defying that order of the United States Supreme Court. So what we should do at this point, I don't know what MAGA thinks should happen because, I've been listening to them in several lives, and they're talking about judges don't have the power to tell the executive what to do. It is sad that we have to go back to 7th and 8th grade U.S. history and civics class, because we all know the three branches of government. When people ask guests, what are the three branches of government? That seems so juvenile and it seems demeaning, but it shows you that it is a question that needs to be asked, because I'm just going to say it.
Go ahead.
This is going to be some hard truth.
Go for it.
But people here in the United States that's been educated in the United States,
thank you, Mike,
they're dumb. They haven't been educated. They don't know the three branches of government. Zeus, when I was a kid, on Saturdays, we used to look forward to watching cartoons.
Yeah.
That's when all the great cartoons were on Saturday mornings. But in between our favorite cartoons, the commercials were just as good as the cartoons.
Yeah.
We had Schoolhouse Rock.
Oh.
I remember a time where even when we weren't in school, we were still in school because we were still being educated, even in between watching cartoons.
Yeah.
Because Schoolhouse Rock, everybody knows I'm Just a Bill, sitting on Capitol Hill. And it went through the process in that little 2-minute commercial. It went through a process as to how
Reading Rainbow,
a bill is introduced, how it's debated, how it's passed or not passed, then makes its way where? To the executive branch.
Yeah.
And then what does the president do to make it become law? He signs the bill. Where have we lost our common sense in this country?
Yeah.
When we can say that you don't have to listen to the Supreme Court. So if that's the case, that we don't have to listen to the Supreme Court, then that presidential immunity that they gave presidents last year, we don't have to listen to that.
Yeah.
He doesn't have immunity. If we're not going to listen to the Supreme Court, does that apply to me as well? That I don't have to listen to courts? Because
you're a brother of color, Nutty. Okay, let's not get out of hand over here now.
Okay, I'm gonna use Jim's language. If I was a weak white male wussy and I got a ticket and I wanted to fight that ticket, and I go to court and the court says, no, Nutty, you're guilty. And I'm going to look at the judge and say, you don't have any jurisdiction over me. I don't have to listen to you. You think that's going to fly?
It depends on your class now. What class are you in terms of economic status?
I have the complexion for the protection.
Okay, but you might not have that bag on you though, so we got to think about this.
But it doesn't matter because the laws of the United States of America are subject to every single person under the jurisdiction of the United States of America.
Okay, well you're gonna find out the hard way. You call yourself dark? Yeah, you're gonna find out the hard way, champ. I mean, I'm just saying that to be straight up with you because I don't want to make you go out here and do something just to get you in a lot of trouble.
But do you see the point that do you see how ridiculous it sounds?
Yeah.
That's how ridiculous it sounds.
I agree.
That we can argue the fact that when the United States Supreme Court gives down a ruling, that we're just going to say, oh, we don't have to pay attention to it. So I'm just beside myself right now.
Well, what we're going to do, Nutty, is we're going to keep doing what you're doing, right? Educating these folks. And it's like we're healing those who want to be healed and need a physician. But we're also aware that there's some folks out there that they just enjoy being sick and discombobulated. And they really do believe Donald Trump is going to show up at their house late at night and, knock on the door. I'm here with that golden check and my medicine.
You know where my brain just went when you said that, Zeus? When you made that little screeching sound?
Where?
When you said show up at their house and then you made that screeching sound, I just envisioned Donald Trump creeping into someone's house and into their bedroom. We all know it's going to be some woman who can't who didn't invite him over, because that's his MO.
Yeah.
You know, that's his MO, to go in and, you know, grab them by the genitalia. You know, so
you're right.
That's where
we're not making this up, folks.
That's where my brain went when you went, because I could just see his little slouched over orange body.
Let me ask you a question, Nutty. I know we're running a little late, but let's just say there was a scary movie created, and you know, there's Freddy Krueger, there's Jason, and then there's Trump. Which one would be the scariest in your opinion?
Because Trump is actually real, it's Donald Trump.
Wow, that's crazy. Because you know what? I agree. W Nutty in the chat.
Because Freddy Krueger and Jason, we know they ain't real.
Yeah.
So we know the difference between fiction and nonfiction.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we have this devil that we have to deal with.
Yeah.
I see somebody in the comments talking about that I'm lying about the 14th, about the due process. But if you look at the Constitution of the United States of America, the 14th Amendment, I tell people all the time, what do I tell them, Zeus? I say, don't believe me, fact check me, right?
Yeah.
The 14th Amendment applies to non-citizens as well as citizens. And then it talks about the Equal Protection Clause. This is how we get equal protection under the law.
Yeah.
So how is it that you can say that even someone who is undocumented doesn't have due process? That is why the Supreme Court, number one, ordered the Trump administration not to deport the man.
Thank you.
And then what did he do? He deported the man. Now they're lying and saying it was administrative or clerical error.
I don't buy it.
So now that they're telling him to bring him back, they're saying, well, we can't do that because the president's not going to bring him back.
Yeah, right.
Well, you know what? Stop giving him that $6 million.
Well, is this the same president that they say millions? Yeah, Bukele. They say Biden allowed Bukele was able to smuggle people into this country under Biden, right?
Well, according to them.
Yeah, so if he could do it under Biden, all of a sudden he's powerless with Trump. Yeah, right. Let's just tell it say what it is. It's that $6 million that Trump gave him. That's the reason why he's not doing it.
I'm going to wrap it up here. So the actual order that came down from the Supreme Court, it was given to Kristi Noem, who is the Secretary of Homeland Security, and all of its applicants, meaning the United States government, ordered that the United States not only to facilitate, but to effectuate the return of plaintiffs Kilmer, Armando, or Brego Garcia. I can't roll my R's.
Yeah.
To the United States no later than 11:59 p.m. last evening. So they're already in violation of a Supreme Court order. So Pam Bondi, I need Pam Bondi to get off her knees from giving fellatio to Donald Trump, and I need for her to stand up and do her job.
Thank you.
In closing, 2 days ago, Zeus, you had a guest on your live, and you asked the guest about Carmelo Anthony.
I did,
and I've been wanting to talk about this for 2 days, but the conversation went elsewhere. I'm going to end it here. I want you to say their names. Tamir Rice. Say their names. Sandra Bland.
Ooh.
Say their names. Trayvon Martin.
Ooh.
Say their names. Mike Brown.
Oh.
Say their names. Philando Castile. Say their names. Tatiana Jefferson. Say their names. Breonna Taylor. I could go on and on and on about saying their names.
That part.
About people in our community that has been unalived by the biggest gang in the United States, the police departments.
Thank you.
And we have gotten zero justice. In fact, those officers who unalived these people, and the one criminal who's walking around, George Zimmerman. George Zimmerman was allowed to say he was standing his ground against a child.
Amen.
A grown man. Trayvon was, I don't recall how old Trayvon was at the time. Was he 16 or 17? Somewhere.
Yeah,
he's a
teenager. He's a teenager.
Yeah. And a grown man accosted this child and unalived him because this child was getting the better of him in a fist-to-fist fight. This child was getting the better of him.
They always think they could just go and do whatever they want to a brother, don't they?
Yeah.
Ain't that how they get down? And then when they end up getting it back, they go, "Oh, this is self-defense."
And his grown ego couldn't take that. Now, to Carmelo Anthony.
Ripley, knock it off. Knock it off.
What happened is very tragic.
Yeah.
Was very tragic.
Mm-hmm.
And as parents, and I'm talking to only those that are parents. As parents, we need to teach our kids, number one, keep your doggone hands to your doggone self.
That part.
Because you don't know whoever you are touching or raising your hands to, you don't know their plight.
Thank you.
You don't know what they're going through. Mm-hmm. Keep your hands to yourself because it could mean your life. Now, this little Austin boy who got unalived, yes, his family is hurting. His family is hurting. But had those parents told their twin boys to stop being some daggum bullies.
Yeah.
Now, we can question, was the force that was used, was it justifiable? Who are we to say it wasn't? We weren't the ones being threatened. We weren't the ones that were in fear. We don't know until the case gets what? Adjudicated.
That part. Well, both families, listen, and we got to move it on, Nutty, but I'll say this. Both families might be hurting, but make no mistake, I don't like you just rushing to say that this brother, this young black man that's a child, actually he's a child, rushing and just saying that he's guilty. Where is the humanity in all of this, MAGA? What about the whole weaponized DOJ thing you all were talking about?
And Zeus, I know you said we got to get going, and I'm going to say this, and I'm going to get skedaddle out of here.
Yeah.
This child, Carmelo Anthony, just like they keep saying about Mr. Austin, who lost his life, he too was a straight A student. He wasn't some thug, because I've seen y'all call this little kid a thug. You called him subhuman. I've seen this language about this child who, by all accounts, protected himself. He even went to the cop and said, "Is he okay?"
Yeah.
So we know it wasn't premeditated.
Thank you.
All right, Zeus, thank you so much.
All right, ladies. You too, ladies and gentlemen. W Nutty in the chat. No lies detected. Hey, MAGA, and anybody else that can't see it for what it is, it's definitely something about the way y'all just quickly say this young child is guilty. It's just something about how y'all was able to do that. That's just not sitting right with me. You wouldn't happen to be making assumptions that Carmelo Anthony is a bad person because he's black, right? You wouldn't be doing that. Or you wouldn't just be making an assumption that Kilmar Garcia is a bad person because he's Hispanic. You wouldn't be doing that, MAGA, because we got a lot of it's starting to look like that. I just don't see how y'all could quickly say that these guys are guilty, but this guy is innocent. What's the difference? I just can't seem to figure it out. Any Trump supporters out there, put a 1 in the chat if you're a Trump supporter. I'll bring you right on up here and we'll get to the bottom of whatever it is that's bothering you. I would encourage MAGA, honestly, do not bring identity politics up on this show, because if you do, you are literally stirring the hornet's nest. W Zeus in the chat. Let's go. All right. Oh, look at who we have here. Apple G. Good morning. How are you? Welcome.
Morning, sir. How you doing?
I'm all right. I heard you were referred to Big Zeus. Someone said you're in need of a physician and perhaps I can help you. And so I'll try to give it my best shot. All right.
Well, the funny thing is that I came to you to counsel you about your TDS.
Oh, let's start there. You could diagnose the doctor? That's interesting.
But what MD did you graduate school with? What kind of
Oh, I
MD
don't.
do you have?
Well, I don't have a degree from a school that proves that I'm a doctor. I was actually joking in a way. It's a little bit of what I
Because
call sarcasm. But what
I'm a
I
physician to counsel TDS. So
okay. Well, let's get to that in just a quick second. So you voted for Donald Trump. Am I getting this right? I just want to make sure I get you understood. You voted for him how many times?
I plan to vote for him a fourth time.
So 3 times.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And the last time you voted for him, you knew about all of the stuff he did while he was in office the first time, and you
Yes.
still casted your vote confidently for him. What
Yes, I
what
would.
was okay? So what was the one thing that really just made you just say this guy is it, no matter what? What is it that he did? Because I
Uh,
don't.
he got he got NATO to pay their fair share of the NATO agreement. So
Okay,
you know how their GDP is supposed to be 2.0%.
right, something like that.
That's part of the Budapest Memorandum. So, like I said, sorry, I saw something in the comment I didn't sit well with, but normally I leave the comments alone. But no, I like that he brought Article 5 members of NATO to the table, part of the Budapest Memorandum, and said, hey, we pay over 2% of our GDP. You guys need to pay your fair share.
Mm.
Now, did they do it? No. I can tell you the countries that did. Romania did it, and then I believe Poland did it.
Okay, what else?
Let's see. I like how he tightens down on immigration. I like how he has a no fucks attitude about it.
Well, we keep
And
it clean on the show. We keep it clean.
oh,
So,
sorry, I apologize. I
yeah.
apologize.
So in other words, and I'm listening to this, and it seems to me like you support what's going on in terms of Ukraine. Am I getting this kind of right? You support that the United States should support Ukraine?
I believe that war should have never happened.
Um.
Russia needs to keep their asses where they belong.
Well, I'm just asking you. Do you think the United States should support Ukraine in their sovereignty? Right? Because we're not friends with Russia, right?
Well, we're not really friends with Ukraine either.
Well, they're an ally, and you brought up the Budapest Memorandum. We're supposed to be actually helping them as a result of Putin not
Na-
upholding his end of the deal. So, I mean, we're a member of NATO. I would imagine that when Article 5 was invoked, and then they came to our rescue, we kind of should think about doing it the same for our allies, right? I mean, I get it that Trump kind of got the conversation started to make NATO actually start, paying more, but I still think there's an underlying principle that needs to
but
be
you,
implemented, right? Which is we need to actually support Ukraine in defending themselves from a country that invaded them. What I don't get, Apple G, is why is Donald Trump running around here suggesting that Ukraine started this?
because it was under Biden's administration, therefore is holding Biden accountable. And then you guys are gonna say, "Oh, back to Biden." I get it. I get how it says you can't blame Biden. You got to go with
But
what's
who
holding.
started it?
I mean, obviously Putin was the aggressor. Let's just
Okay,
get right
okay,
to the
so that
butter.
means Donald Trump is lying when he says stuff like this, right?
But he's not lying because you know why we are not obligated to defend Ukraine. They are not a member of NATO. They are not a part of Article 5.
I get that. I get all of that, but he is lying when he's suggesting that Ukraine started this conflict. And honestly, I've seen it multiple times. He's posted it several times on his platform. He's saying that this wouldn't have happened if Ukraine didn't start it. And so I'm glad that you were honest in saying that, yeah, this is something Russia started. Now, in terms of the United States doing what they're doing, why do you think President Biden chose to support Ukraine?
Because he would have saw a bigger push west, if not. But we can also article the fact that this started back in 2014 when they took over Crimea. Russia did.
Well,
That was the foothold to this.
Well, I mean, and a lot of people bring that point up, but the thing is, no one was really taking Putin seriously, right? That he would actually continue to just really taking Putin seriously, right? That he would actually continue to just go down this path of violating agreement after agreement and then invading other sovereign nations and then doing exactly what he did where we're at right now. But now that we're here, all right, we can't really relitigate the past. I guess the question is the going forward. One of the things Donald Trump campaigned on, and this is why I continue to harp on him and his supporters, is he said the moment he won the election, if I'm not mistaken, this all would stop.
I mean, to be fair, that was word diarrhea of the mouth. The man has it. I'll admit to you, he has diarrhea of the mouth. Trump does.
So he lied.
No, he didn't lie about it. I just think he spoke too soon on it.
Okay.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I just don't get why you can't call it what it is. It was clearly a lie. He repeatedly said it. And I think he knew that if he said it, he would get people to support him. And so if you got to lie to get votes, I mean, that's your thing. But these are the things that I honestly say it's very hard for me to think about the things he's doing now and see that they're actually working out in the best interest of this country. He hasn't stopped it. He's actually made it worse. He's lying. He had Zelensky come here, basically bullied him in the White House, got on him about what he was wearing and all that other stuff, and then took away some of our support for a few days or a week or so. And I mean, and it's just like, is he our friend? You know, I'm thinking at it from the Ukraine perspective. Is the United States even our friend?
So from the like I said, so Ukraine, no, they are not our friends. They are leeches to us. They expect us to pay for everything for them. Or yes, I'm all for people,
That's
having
not
their
true.
country, having their sovereignty. What's not true?
That they're leeches.
They are.
Here's the argument that, and I think you might want to give this some thought.
Then they
What
should
we're
have signed the deal.
it's preventative, right? Because if this thing expands beyond Ukraine, inevitably the United States will be drawn in. Inevitably, and then guess what? You're talking about American lives now being really at risk. So the preventative maintenance, so to speak, was okay, we're going to arm Ukraine in order to actually help prevent it from escalating to a point where we actually have to actually get involved and put boots on the ground. So I don't consider that level of thinking to be an argument to make that Ukraine is a leech, right? I mean, and this doesn't, and it isn't just the United States that is supporting them. Other countries are supporting them in this.
So I don't mind funding them. I don't mind helping them, giving them the funds, weapons, etc., whatever they need to defend themselves. The only thing that I want in return is guarantee that I'll loan you the money. Just give me what I feel I need, which is their rare earth minerals. That was the fallout of the deal because Zelensky did not want to give them the rare earth minerals. That Trump said, okay, hey, you give us this in return, so we get a return back. So we'll give you $80 more billion in aid. But we want the rare earth funds the rare earth that you guys have there so we can manufacture different things here in the United States.
Okay, so whether or not that is I think from what I understand about the rare earth thing, it was basically setting the Ukrainian people up to have both Russia and the United States rob them, right, of their resources in exchange for a ceasefire. And there's a big issue. Putin continues to violate every agreement. So how do you know this would actually have worked? And then they had to give up territory too, which basically would allow Russia to basically regroup and restart this conflict at a later date with more access to the being able to destroy more and more cities in the country. So it was a bad deal, number one. But the rare earth minerals, I don't really think that's a big issue as far as I'm concerned, because no one was talking about that prior to this so-called infamous deal. No one was bringing that into this equation. The issue is, isn't it important to defend the United States of America? Isn't that important to stop us from having to put boots on the ground? Yes or no?
Yes, but that would also protect our sovereign interests. That would protect our interests over there. So say, okay, we give them $80 more billion. Hang on, Zeus, hang on. And then in return, we get our deal back. We get whatever that rare earth mineral was that obviously we couldn't acquire anywhere else.
Okay.
So and then they wanted a reassurance. So that would be the reassurance that we would continue to provide them military aid, weapons, etc. Because let's just get to the nitty gritty. Our weapons kick Russia's fucking asses, dude.
Keep it clean. Keep it clean. All right. So your argument is
TikTok shop.
So your argument is, if the money was right and Ukraine, and we saw that, and it was in our best interest financially to do this deal, you would support it being done.
If it supports Ukraine and we get a financial guarantee, like a financial guarantee return, then yes, I'm all for helping Ukraine defend themselves.
Well, why
becoming a sovereign nation and rebuilding their country? Yes,
So,
I'm all about that,
are
but I
you-
want
so-
something in return.
So Zelensky, and again, I'm not an expert in all this, but I did recall just the other day or something, he offered Trump $50 billion. You know about that? For the air defense systems and stuff like that, and
yes.
Trump's not doing it. What do you think that is? Why is that?
It's because what financial resources do they have to fulfill that deal?
They have access to some of the frozen assets that Russia has, right? That they've acquired as a result of these sanctions. They also have access through other countries who are actually sending them contributions financially as well. And everyone is saying, yeah, it's a deal. So basically, Trump should take this deal, right?
No, no, hell no.
So then, so this is where your argument about the rare earth minerals falls apart, because it's obvious you're not interested in anything that's actually financially beneficial to the United States. You have a $50 billion offer from Ukraine right now.
No, we want that rare earth mineral because it's actually tangible and
You could get
something.
both. Imagine if you do this and then you could get that, because Ukraine is still a country after this is all said and done. If you don't even if Ukraine ends up being taken by Russia, you don't have a country.
Okay, so I
So
guess
in
I'll
other words, you got to do whatever it takes to save Ukraine in order to even get those rare earth minerals. So the fact that Trump won't even take the $50 billion, it just shows me he does not care at all. And so this is your real reason for voting for Donald Trump. I mean, and to me, it just seems like that's not really it. I think what's going on with you, Apple, and this is just my read. You fall for everything Donald Trump says, right? And you really feel like this is your chance to get a lick back on the Democrats and Joe Biden, because for some strange reason you were led to believe that the country was in a terrible situation under Joe Biden's presidency. This is my read of you. Am I right?
Not even anywhere close, but okay.
Okay.
No, but continue.
No. Okay, because you haven't produced a sound argument to support why you're actually supporting Donald Trump. He's not doing, like, the Ukraine conflict. That doesn't directly impact you at all, right? But I'll tell you what's impacting you right now. What's going on in the economy, right? And to me, if you're following what's going on, you know good and well what he's doing right now is actually harming you.
He's actually putting us in a good position to offer better trade deals, so these other countries stop, like Canada, ripping us off for $290 for dairy.
Yeah, and then we looked at that and we found out that he was making that all up because the threshold for that tariff to actually kick in will never be reached. And so again,
But wait, Zeus, let me ask you this: how is that not true when these are coming from consumer reports, from consumer committee reports? How's it not
what
true?
report? What report?
It's coming from the consumer committee reports. It comes
Okay.
from the official consumer budget office.
Okay. So let me
I'm
ask.
sorry, finance office.
Okay, I haven't seen that report, so I can't speak on it. But I'll say this to you: Americans are paying in so many ways as a result of these tariffs, right? I mean, I don't know if you're following this, but Americans are losing their jobs, right? Companies are now laying people off. The prices of vehicles are supposed to be going up. Ford just put out an article. They're saying they're going to have to bring their prices up. The canary in the coal mine, Jerome Powell's coming out. Everyone's coming out, putting out information saying that this is inflationary. And throughout the whole campaign, you all were arguing about lowering grocery prices. Someone in the chat wrote they got laid off.
But the Democrats also said that inflation was transitory.
And under what conditions?
Because I mean, it came from Jean-Pierre's mouth.
What is she?
She said that inflation was transitory.
Was this after the pandemic?
Right about the midterms.
Okay. So what I don't want to do is compare Apple. I don't want to compare apples to oranges. Bottom line is, no country has came to the United States to bend the knee at all. And if they have, why is Trump still doing the tariffs, right? And the main country you all targeted was China, and they're showing no signs of bending the knee. So what this suggests to a lot of us is Donald Trump was willing to risk American people's lives, including their 401ks and the prices of groceries, for the stunt that has backfired on him in ways you just can't even imagine.
But Zeus, it hasn't backfired, because now you have the EU coming to the table saying that they're going to take American import vehicles from 10% to 2.5%.
Where's it at? Is it in writing, Apple?
Yes, it's the EU is coming to the table.
So he signed it.
It has, but wait, hang on, Zeus. But even the BBC, English broadcast news, has come out and said they're coming to the table to talk to Trump about the American imports from 10% to 2.5%.
And
the tariffs are working.
And listen, and I'm going to go outside tomorrow and win the lottery. And you're going to prosper like there's no tomorrow when those Doge checks come on. All right. And the grocery prices are going to come down. I mean, this is a lot of talk. And again, it's musical the way Donald Trump does this to you all. But you and I also have to agree, it's just talk. None of this stuff that he's saying he's going to do, he's been successful at doing.
So, Zeus, no president has done anything from Inauguration Day until now more than Donald J. Trump has. Just because the liberals don't like it doesn't mean he's not doing anything. He's signing a fuck ton of executive orders.
You did it again. There you go, then. There you go. Come on, keep it clean. You know, I got my mom listening to this, man.
Zeus,
You know.
I apologize, man. I'm very sorry.
All right.
Zeus's mom, I apologize. I do not mean to come on the show and talk like that. I
But,
apologize.
but it's good. It's good. But here's the thing. He promised that he would end these conflicts the moment he got elected. It didn't happen, right? He promised that he would lower our grocery prices, all right? But it didn't happen. All right. He promised to cap credit card interest at 10%. It didn't happen. He said he's going to cut our utility bills
He also got rid of the
50%.
credit card fees. He also got rid of the overdraft fees. Banks,
No,
if
no,
your bank
that was
account goes into the negative,
that
they
was
can no longer charge you $29.
that was Joe Biden.
No, it wasn't.
That was Joe Biden that did that. I know that much. All right, Apple. But listen, nice try. But no, we can't let you get points for what Joe Biden. He told us the egg prices were down 80%. Can you believe Donald Trump has said this? And so, Apple, I believe you believe everything Donald Trump says. I really,
Down.
no, they're not.
Yes, they are. I don't know, Zeus. I don't know where you live.
I live
but
in
where I live-
California.
Okay, I'm in Arizona. Perfect. So,
Okay.
an average price of groceries in Phoenix, Maricopa County is $4.97. Where when he took office, it was $8.58.
Are you talking about egg prices?
Yes.
Okay.
Per dozen. Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm going to just emphatically disagree with you. As a matter of fact, I'm driving around and I'm seeing gas over $5 a gallon. And I was told that if the energy prices come down, grocery prices go down. And so
But Zeus,
what I'm
you know
not
just as
seeing
well
is
as-
the energy prices coming down. They're going up
But
because
Zeus, just as well as I know that where you live, cost of living is insane. You're in California. Gas has always been over $5. I mean, let's just be what it is, man.
I mean, you guys make so many excuses. What
I'm
about
not
this?
making-
What about
I'm not making
Signalgate? What
excuses.
about Signalgate? Can I ask you about that Signalgate?
Was that where Elon Musk beat Verizon? Or no, that's Starlink. My bad. Signalgate. You're gonna have to educate me on what is.
This is
Signalgate.
Pete Hegseth and them discussing war or attack plans on the app Signal. You know
I'm glad
about
you said that. I'm glad you said that. But hey, what administration approved the use of Signal? I mean, I'm just saying. Who was it? It was Biden.
No.
Yes, it was Biden.
No,
the
no,
Biden
no,
administration
no,
did
no,
approve
no.
the use of Signal for military communication.
Show me where Biden said this is acceptable app to communicate top secret information on. I would love to hear that.
I'm screen recording on my second device. Otherwise
Oh, okay, but we'll get to that. If you got information that the Biden administration did that, my only follow up question would be, well, why would Donald Trump do something Biden did? Shouldn't Donald Trump be better than Biden?
But no, you also
Shouldn't he
understand
be
that
better
what it-
than Biden?
But no, you have to understand, Zeus, that what it takes to change military aspirations.
Eggs
But
are
the Biden-
$52 where
Wait,
you're
but
at.
Zeus,
Wow.
but wait, Zeus, Biden administration, they approved the use of Signal. So therefore, if they never approved it, that would have never happened. I mean, just saying, that's how you guys want to talk.
I'm asking you to produce the information where Biden approves Signal to be used to share classified information on. That's all I'm asking you.
Well, it's the same theory of the military using WhatsApp because it's an encrypted app, and the U.S. government approved of it.
So what your argument today is, and this is what I got to double check, but I'm going to make sure I get it right. You believe that the military should be able to use social media apps to share classified and top secret information because Joe Biden did that in your world.
They're not. So I was in the military. They're not social media apps. They are. So WhatsApp, for example, everybody uses it all over the world because they say it's encrypted.
Okay.
So then it's pretty much short story long. It's another version of a Signal.
Yeah.
So, but Zeus, Apple Block is my main account. My main one's Nanner till Sunday.
So Biden authorized the use of Signal, but not for sensitive military intel. So again,
but he
so
still
I mean, and that's
the
just
use
a
of
quick
it.
that's just a quick Google, champ. I mean, that's a quick Google lookup.
But
I mean,
I'm just telling you, he approved it though.
But not for sensitive information and top secret. That's a big difference. Don't you think sending attack plans on Signal should be that's not a good thing to do?
Okay. So since you have it on Google, what military memorandum was it approved under? So every time something's approved in the military, it'll be under a DoD memorandum. It should be with the Google search. It should be public access.
Well, listen, you give me the military memorandum, but I'll take your word at it because, if Biden did it, then he did it. But at the end of the day, he didn't say you could use it to send war plans out.
So, alrighty, Zeus. Unfortunately, I got to go. I'm at work. I love talking with you. I just wanted to get to know you, man. I'm Apple Glock, and we'll talk again, my friend. All right.
All
Take it
right,
easy,
and in
brother.
the meantime, and I'll get to judgment on this. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's Apple Glock. All right, and Apple Glock, you know, you tried to climb Mount Olympus this morning, sir.
I
But
did. I did.
no, you didn't. No, you didn't. You just got up here. You did that MAGA shuffle that a lot of you do. Now you get back to work. All right, all right.
Hey, but before I go, can I just tell you, if I'm doing the MAGA shuffle, I got parachute pants on that say "Make America Great Again."
All righty then. Apple Glock. It's just a bunch of lies and misinformation, champ. What you're not understanding is we're not going to sit around here and allow you to just make up things about your dear leader and then try to pass off the bad things on Joe Biden. I've seen that before, been there, done that, and I'm not interested. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and send him where he belongs, straight to hell.
Silence, you MAGA demon!
Oh my gosh. You already know you're lying when you're talking and then the guest box fills up, and I mean people are lying, they're watching, and I gotta keep it clean. Good morning, Val. Welcome.
Morning.
Did you buy any of the information Apple Glock was sharing from you?
Let's do a little fact check on him, okay?
Okay, what do we got?
February 17th, the EU says that they're going to work on car tariff trades with the US. On February 3rd, they reiterated that for a 0-0 deal. Okay.
Was there an agreement struck?
Here's where it all ends, Zeus.
Oh, okay.
On February 8th, Trump says U.S. must buy $350 billion of U.S. energy to get tariff relief.
So, at the end of the day, no deal was struck.
No deal.
W Val in the chat. I knew you were going to keep track of the lies. I just like letting them go and just get it all out. That way we can go and do this debriefing. All right. What else you got, Val?
Well, and then he talks about the Signal app and all that stuff. The Signal app was approved to be used by the current administration in Homeland Security. Don't stop with the lies. That was done by email through the current administration, not the past administration.
Wow. So the Signal app can or cannot be used to share.
It was never intended to be used to share classified.
But it's encrypted. It's encrypted, Val.
Don't care how encrypted it is. It is not a verifiable source for classified information. They have different channels. The government has many different channels for that. But the reason they don't want to use those channels is because those channels are tattletales.
But DJ just put it in the chat. So Biden didn't approve it, Val? Even though I just gave the answer, I looked it up.
Biden probably approved some use, but the use of it in the DHS by the Director of Homeland Security was done by him in this administration.
Thank you.
It was put on their computers the day he took that office.
There you go, DJ, and you could go look this information up. Right, and so he also covered Ukraine, DJ, the rare earth deal that Donald Trump supposedly.
That was also a lie.
Oh,
the reason Zelensky was here was to sign the deal on the rare earth metals. That was a done deal. It blew up because of the vice president's inability to keep his mouth shut. Okay, and instead go after Zelensky. That's when that deal blew up. It was blown up by the vice president of this country, and the president just sat there and watched it happen.
Wow. Do you think? Do you buy Apple's argument that if the United States gets access to those rare earth minerals, then we should support Ukraine? Other than that, we shouldn't support them because I think that, huh?
Hey, no. I mean, I don't know. I mean, to me, this would just be part of the ongoing deal that's going to be with doing that with Ukraine. So I don't know why people are up. You know what I'm saying? I don't know why people are upset about this, because he came back even after that meeting and said, "Hey, I'm willing to do the deal with the rare earth metals, but I want guarantees on the support that the U.S. is going to give me." And again, then the president said, "We're not going to give any guarantees." Well, I'm not giving up my metals and my resources to somebody that's not going to give me a guarantee. That's pretty simple business.
Thank you, W Val in the chat. And Zelensky, I gave him the game. I said Zelensky's willing to give the United States $50 billion, all right, to purchase the Patriot defense.
To purchase the Patriot system.
Yeah, and Trump is like, no, you don't get into a fight with someone 20 times bigger than you and blah, 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 blah. So it's not about them wanting to actually get any money out of Ukraine either. What do you think this is all about? Impossible connection to Russia.
I mean, we could go down, the rabbit hole with this for days, but the end result of this is that Trump has been and always will be Putin's puppet.
Thank you, W. And that's what we need to get on the record, and it's on the record. Because we all know his name, all right? You see it out there. They call him something. It starts with a K. Krasnov, I think that's what you call him. Right? We know who he really is and who his daddy is. Now, the other topic was Jerome Powell, if you don't mind, Val. What do you think about the canary in the coal mine singing?
I don't know. I don't know much about that story, to be honest.
Oh.
So, that's not one I've really kept up with.
Well, just the fact that he's coming out and talking about the tariffs and how they, from what he said, his job is to make sure labor stays, the unemployment rate stays, healthy.
Absolutely.
And inflation stays healthy. And for the most part, he's saying things are okay, but with these tariffs, he's giving us a warning.
They're on a fine edge, right? I mean, there's no doubt about that. We're on a tipping point. And unfortunately, we're on the wrong side of the scale right now. Okay. And if that, but it wouldn't take much more than a feather to throw us off that tipping point. Wow. So that, that's where we're at. And this president has us there. And this is what's making the stock market unstable. This is what's making business unstable. This is why we're seeing a massive increase in layoffs. This is, what I'm saying? These things are going on. This is why we're also seeing an increase in foreclosures. This is not a good outcome right now for the U.S. at the direction things are headed right now. And these are the kind of outcomes that could take a decade to fix if it continues.
Thank you, W. Val. And so you don't buy this argument that Donald Trump is selling his supporters when he says, you just got to suffer a little bit, all right? And then things will be on the up and up. And if you want a Doge check, go ahead and send me $100 or so.
Let me put this in a different factor for you. You've worked for the same company for 25 years. You go in one day and your boss tells you, well, you know what? I can continue to keep you employed, but you're going to have to take a 50% reduction in pay.
Oh, my heart just hit the floor when you did that. 50%.
Okay, so did that work out for you? Did you stay? Did you take a 50% reduction in pay to stay?
And do the same amount of work?
Yeah, and do the same amount of work. No, you did not. That is the moronic part of all of this is people don't see it in simplest terms. Okay, this is exactly what is happening to the U.S. people. You're asking the U.S. people to take a massive reduction in their pay, their GDP, their stocks, everything that makes life better.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay, and you're asking them to do that for what?
The trust in Trump, I believe, is what I'm hearing.
For manufacturing at this date. That is still more leaving than coming.
So what you're saying is manufacturing jobs involve working in factories, and this means Trump supporters are saying they want to work in factories.
Yeah, right.
Any Trump supporter want to work in a factory, please identify yourself.
Yeah, until they have to work in a factory.
It's so easy to do this. It's so easy to tell Trump supporters the truth. It's like you can do it while you're driving. It's almost like driving a stick shift, right? Once you learn how to do it, you'll never unlearn how to do it, all right? Well, listen, Val, I appreciate you, brother, all right?
Not a problem, guys.
We're going to continue to move it along. I might have to bring you back up depending on where.
I'll be down there.
All right. W Val in the chat. No problemo. Oh my goodness. I mean, as you can see, ladies and gentlemen, it is a show of force out here. Any Trump supporters want to come up here real quickly? Put a 1 in the chat, and I'll bring you right on up here. We are almost done. We only got a little more time left. Put a 1 in the chat if you are a Trump supporter, and I'll bring you right on. Oh, okay. I see. We got a 1. I mean, you know, who do we got? Nomo. I'm not going to call you the first part of your name. Nomo. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. It's Big Daddy Nano. It's Italian for Grandpa.
Okay, I'll call you Grandpa. Fair enough?
Fair enough.
All right, I'm not calling another grown man that.
That's fine. I understand.
Yeah. All right, so you voted for Trump?
Yes, I did.
What part of the country are you in?
I live in Virginia.
Okay. All right. So, what is it about Donald Trump that's really got you still supporting him in light of the fact that he is openly disobeying the Supreme Court?
Well, in that matter, I think probably the biggest thing why I still support him is because the will of the people. You know, the will of the people, we control those. We elect the president, we elect senators and congressmen, and then the president appoints, you know, the Supreme Court justices. So we have them there. I don't think he should be going against them. I do not. But I do support what he wants to do. I think he's just got to do it a different way. He can't just overstep the courts like that.
So you're aware that he's overstepping the courts?
Yes.
And you're still supporting him?
Yes. I mean, you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater.
But there needs to be consequences, right?
Well, I'm sure there will be.
Like?
Well, I mean, let's get Mr. Jeffries. He can kind of get some things going and take action if he'd like to.
In terms, what are you suggesting? What are you
suggesting?
suggesting?
I'm just saying, if Congress believes he's overstepped, they're the ones that's going to have to hold him accountable to send him for charges. I mean, the Supreme Court can't just tell him to do it. The executive branch.
So you're suggesting he be impeached?
No, I'm not saying that he should. I'm saying if that's what you feel like they should do.
You and I agree that he's not listening to the Supreme Court. You and I agree on that. And that's very unique. That's unique from a Trump supporter, because to me, I can never get a Trump supporter to just be this clear about it. So this goes back to the will of the people. Do you support him as his voter doing this?
Yeah. Yes, I do. So let me ask you this.
Wait, did you hear the question, or did you just repeat?
I did.
What was my question?
You asked me if I still thought it should do the will of the people.
No, do you support Donald Trump not obeying the Supreme Court?
I don't support that portion of it, but there are portions of his agenda that I do support. I mean, you don't like everything that Obama did. You don't like everything Biden did. You don't like everything that Bush did. There's all these people that have had issues that we didn't throw the baby out with the bathwater. There were good things about all these presidents. I can say good things about Obama. I can say good things about Biden. I can say good things about Bush. But I don't just because they were a Democrat or a Republican or they did one thing that I didn't like. I can't just turn my back on the whole agenda. There's more to it than that. There's not one just issue.
But sir, with all due respect, I get that you want to support Donald Trump implementing his agenda, but he should do it within the constraints of the law, and that goes for every president, right? So I could honestly, if Donald Trump was not breaking the law, all right, if judges weren't saying there was probable cause, I would take issue with it from a policy perspective, right? I would take issue with what he's doing from a policy perspective, but once you start going in and out of the law, now the agenda is secondary. We have a situation in the country now where a president is behaving like a criminal. I don't think a criminal could implement an agenda legally at this point, because now we got to look at everything he's doing and say, is he following the law, or is he just doing what he feels is the right thing to do based on this unlawful behavior, this unlawful attitude that he has?
Well,
right? So we got a situation, and this is to me where I'm tugging at your heartstrings a little bit, because a lot of you say y'all are Christians and you guys are, good people. And I promise you, if you seen me out there and wherever you live and I was in need, I think you would actually say, you know what, I'm going to go help him because this person might need his car jumped,
Sure.
right? He needs some gas. He ran out of gas because, that's the way you all operate. But at the end of the day, right, on a human level, somebody in this country was ripped out of the country based on an administrative error.
Well,
And while the judge was saying turn the planes around, Trump ignored the judge and sent this man to one of the worst inhumane places on the face of the earth.
let me ask you this. Had he not come here initially, would that have happened to him? And had he not come here initially, he'd be at the same place he is now, with the exception of being in prison.
No,
Well,
because
they
you know
didn't
why? You know why I
say-
can't do that?
Why?
Because it's a math thing to a degree, right? I taken a lot of math in my life. I forgot a lot of it, but you started it off with if this then that, right? That was your logic.
All
But
right, well, let me just be. Let me.
but
just,
you can and
I'll
you can
take
put your
that
wife
out.
on the
I'll try
phone.
to
Is that your
soften
wife?
it up.
Is that your
Here's
wife
the
on the?
fact.
Is that your wife
He
on the
came
phone?
here illegally.
Is that your
Okay?
wife? I'll talk to her too. All right, and we can
No,
have
my
this.
wife. No, my wife is just. She
She's
hears me
fast.
talking.
She wants to know. You can't hold her
No,
back.
she's here and she's listening.
Well, I want to make sure she's listening too, because
Hello, I'm listening. This is the wife.
how are you? How are you?
Well, thank you.
All right. Well, I'm trying to talk to your husband and trying to get him to see, like, there's a human component to this, right? You just can't assume anything about a person's life. I can't assume that because you grew up in a state and you got this kind of an education that you are going to be a rocket scientist. And that's the point. This kind of an education that you are going to be a rocket scientist. And that's the point that I was trying to make about this man. We can't assume anything.
No, we can't.
So let's deal with the facts.
Let's talk facts.
But let's speak the facts about it. Let's speak about the facts of we have rules. You're big on rules and laws, right?
The country,
We do
America
have
is.
rules and laws.
And the
that say
Supreme
you
Court
can't
said,
enter.
and the Supreme Court said what?
Well, the Supreme Court said effectuate the return of this man.
And Donald Trump is saying what?
But where's he a citizen at?
What? No.
No, what country is he a citizen of?
Well, El
I'm
Salvador.
asking you. I mean, let's get to the facts. What country is he a
El
citizen
Salvador.
of? Okay, where's he at?
He's in El Salvador or
There you
worse.
go.
Oh, wait.
So that's where he belongs.
Wait. I said he's there or worse. I don't know where he's at.
Well,
well, we can
Do
only
you?
go by.
Do you know where he's at?
He is in El Salvador.
What if he's?
From his president?
None of that has been verified. What if I were to tell you?
Where's that fact at? You want to show me that fact? where
I've
it's
looked it
verified
up.
Or not
This is-
verified?
Sir, this is why
guarantee you they know exactly where he is.
Sir, this is why I'm very concerned. The
Yes.
idea that a president of the United States could send someone to a place like that and this person may no longer be on this earth. If you ever thought about it from that perspective, you can understand why Trump is saying, "Yeah, we're not bringing him back. He's not coming back." Because what if it was
stretch. Now,
yeah,
we're
but
going
no.
back to that if statement that you said.
It is, well, okay, it is an if, but you got to look at it from what if he is no longer alive? How would you feel knowing that the president of the United States did that? How would you feel knowing that? And the reason I bring this up is because you remember Jamal Khashoggi. You remember that in MBS?
Correct.
So we know he's capable. We know Trump is capable. So if the Supreme Court says, bring this man back, and the thing that Donald Trump could easily do, listen, Donald Trump is not the court system, right? The matter about his citizenship needs to be adjudicated by real courts, not the president. The president took an oath to uphold the Constitution and the rule of law.
So how
and he's
can you
not,
tell a
and he's
sovereign
not,
government?
he's
How
not.
can you tell a sovereign government to send their citizen back here?
What?
How can you tell El Salvador, who he's a citizen of, I
I'll tell
want
you.
you to send your citizen back here so they can face justice?
Well, you do this.
How would you do that?
Okay. And the
If
key
somebody
word is
came to the US and
effectuate.
said,
Listen,
I want
listen.
you to send a U.S. citizen to China.
Listen, the word is effectuate and facilitate, right? So do you think Donald Trump, if he told that man that he gave the $6 million to Bukele, the president of El Salvador, you do know he gave him $6 million,
Yes, I
right?
do.
Do you think if Donald Trump said, do this, that man would do it? Little old El Salvador compared to the United States, he says, bring that man back. Don't you think he would do it? And if not, he could say, I'm going to put tariffs on you like you wouldn't believe.
Think
He
about
could,
this.
no. But I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah, I'm happy to address that with you. I'm retired U.S. Army.
Okay, well, thank you for your
23
service, but
years
don't.
of service. Been all over Central America. Been all over Europe.
But I didn't ask about that. But
No,
thank you
I'm
for
getting
your
ready to
service.
tell you why I have a reason to explain to you why this will not work. Okay, this man is in a very tough neighborhood down there, Bukele. Okay, if he shows that he is a puppet of the U.S., he will get eaten. Okay, he will get eaten. So you're telling the president of the United States to put this guy on the world stage and be his dog and say, yep, here you go, send that guy back. So what's he going to look like to his citizens if he sends a citizen back?
I think he already looks like a puppet.
But how much
Right?
more
Because
of a
think
puppet
about
is he going to look like if
think
he
about
sends
what
a
he-
citizen back?
We agreed Trump is paying this man $6 million. To
Agreed.
pay,
I mean,
and
those
that's
guys
and so far that's $20,000 per prisoner.
That's
So
cheaper than it would if we jailed him here.
$5 a day here.
Oh, okay. I'll think about what you just said in terms of that. So he has the ability to make this guy do things. Is my point, right? He can offer him another $6 million.
Point, just like Zelensky.
Wait. I didn't bring. Can we stay on this? So
We are.
I think for the sake of this show, we're all agreeing that if Donald Trump wanted to make this man come back, he could. And that's all I need you to make sure that you, because this is.
I do agree. But
Okay,
if
thank
he
you.
comes
So
back, then what happens?
he has to go through the court system like
Now
every
it's
other.
another piece of crumb. And I'm going to tell you why he's not. I agree with what you're saying.
Can I
But
just?
what I'm telling you is the piece of crumb up to this is if he brings it back, then all his political enemies are going to use that. I'm just telling you from a perspective
That's
of
the
somebody
concern.
over in that boat. If he gives a little bit of crumb, that's just something else for everybody to eat on. With this kid here, he's going to get on TV. They're going to have it blasted all over the news and all that stuff. They're going to use it as a publicity.
We're gonna no. But here's the thing, and it goes back to humanity. And the example I said, if I was really in need, you would come out and help me. Would you help? Would you help me, or because you, or would you not help me because you're concerned how people in your neighborhood think about you?
No, I don't care about that.
So that's what we're looking for Donald Trump to do, and that's what we're looking for the president of El Salvador to do. Politics aside, you need to do the right thing. And if this man is truly alive, and if he's truly alive, then you need to rest everyone's concerns by simply obeying the Supreme Court.
How about a live video?
What has he done? The live video?
No, I'm saying.
Okay,
Would that
so
satisfy you?
I would feel a lot better if I seen a live video, but I would not be satisfied until he obeyed the Supreme Court. So where we're at right now, sir, is you started out talking about the will of the people. Correct. And you are also at the point saying, well, I understand Donald Trump is not obeying the Supreme Court. Is it your will to have a president not obey the Supreme Court?
No, it's not.
Okay, so the pressure now, or the move is on you as his supporters to pressure your elected officials to do what they got to do to hold Donald Trump accountable. Because we cannot continue to allow criminals in the White House to do what they're doing at the expense of everyday Americans. There's also this concern. What he's doing by showing he's not willing to obey the law, it opens up this door. It's called a box, Pandora's box. Now we have to wonder. Yeah, now we have to wonder, when is he going to start doing this to everyday Americans? And it's already out there. He's doing it to Americans, people who are here legally. All right. You see it. just randomly going after them and grabbing them and doing whatever he feels like.
Randomly. I think there's probably an
Well, we know they're going to colleges and universities, right? And I don't want to go into that because these are
proof?
At Columbia University they detained that.
Mahmoud.
Yeah.
Well, no,
yeah.
they didn't just
So-
snatch him from the,
so-
the-
and
from
then-
the college. They snatched him from his home.
Okay, but it was
And why
because
was
of his
that?
conduct, because of
He's
what
a
he
green
did.
card. He's got a green card, but he's in here being.
So you're okay with this? Is my point because
well,
he
what
didn't
I'm
break
saying
any
is what
laws.
You're losing the point of. I'm good for citizens. All these things you're saying, if there was a citizen, I would say enforce it.
Okay.
Okay, but you're trying to defend non-citizens.
No, I'm trying to defend the rule of law. I think that whatever it is in his agenda, if he has the ability to carry it out, as long as he does it within the constraints of the law, fine. I'm going to do what I do. I'm going to be upset because I don't agree with the policy. But once you start breaking the law, sir, okay, agenda aside, we can't be in a country like that because the same thing is this, or the way I look at it is, you would expect me to do the same thing that I'm asking you to do if President Biden was out here openly defying court orders, brazenly breaking the law. You would
So what did we
expect
do to
me.
Hillary? What did we do to Hillary for breaking the law? She
Jesus
had a court
Christ.
order not to destroy her devices.
Listen, sir. I think you get what I'm saying, and you're just being
I do
extremely.
get what you're
You're
saying.
just being extremely difficult. Bottom line is Donald
No,
Trump
you
is
just don't
not.
like it that I have responses, and I'm not going to be a shell dog.
No, your responses only show that you are willing to. I would hate to say this. You're willing to compromise yourself for Donald Trump and your values
No.
and your morals.
Well, let me ask you something.
Am I not? Am I right?
You're willing
Am I
to
right?
Compromise yourself.
No, I'm not.
Everybody's willing to compromise themselves based on things. You're doing it now.
Let me ask an
know,
honest
this kid
question.
gets stabbed in Texas.
Hold on. I can give you an example, right?
Let me give me one.
If Ivanka weren't my daughter, perhaps I'd be dating her.
You heard what he
Well,
said?
that's just gross.
What's the favorite thing
Hold on,
you have?
hold on.
What's the favorite thing you
Hold on, listen.
What's the favorite thing?
Listen.
What's the favorite thing you have in common with your father?
Either real estate or golf.
Donald, with your daughter?
Well, I was going to say sex, but I can't relate that.
You voted for him though.
Yeah, because
I wouldn't have did
didn't vote
that.
for him to be a babysitter or a watch out my kids. I voted for him because he runs businesses, and instead of just siphoning the money off and letting everybody just take advantage of us and letting people just step up on us, I want somebody here that's going to put up a strong front and protect the people.
But okay, and
But
those
you'd rather
might
just give it to everybody else.
But
Fuck the
listen,
people.
wait, we
Excuse
don't.
me, I didn't mean to say
Okay,
that.
but I'll say this. My main point was you're willing to compromise who you are to support Donald Trump, and you see how you just basically said I didn't vote for him to be a babysitter, but you know what he said was just downright disgusting.
I just said that.
And then the business side, you and I both know he was found liable for committing a lot of fraud in his businesses. So he's really not a good businessman. And then the bankruptcy. So I don't see the angle that he's actually good at business. I really don't. And then let's just go to where we're at right now. Millions of businesses all over the country, they're saying these tariffs are terrible.
Yes,
terrible for business.
They are.
Well, you admitted it. So if he is doing things that are terrible for business, this means the reason
Immediately.
Do
you want your children to be able to get Social Security?
Wait. I was saying something though, and then we'll get to
sorry,
that.
go ahead.
This means that if your reason for voting for Trump was that you thought he was going to be good for business, and you see what he's doing now, which shows he's bad for business, this means you were lied to.
No, this is a society of instant gratification. We want things right now. We've gone from wanting things immediately. Okay.
Okay,
so here's the problem. We've been screwing up for 50 years.
You don't want to address that he's not delivering on the promise of being good at business.
He's been here 100 days, dude. He's been here 100 days. There are
Well,
things
if
you
it's
gotta
100
do,
days,
like
that
you
means I
said.
gotta go. If it's 100 days, that means someone owes me a lot of money because I had a bet. They said, Zeus, you're getting on them too early. It hasn't even been 100 days. So if it's been 100 days, someone owes me some money. But how much more time after the 100 days do you think Americans can wait, considering their 401ks, they've been destroyed, annihilated? How much more time do Americans need to wait for this so-called day of
Well, let me ask you
liberation?
this. Are
How
those
many more
people
days?
retiring right now, or are they retiring in a year or two?
I'm asking you a simple question.
I'm asking you a simple question.
They could
If
be
they
retiring
cash out
tomorrow.
today, then they're screwed. But if they're retiring in 2 or 3 years, when the market
tomorrow's
starts
not
up,
promised.
It does.
Tomorrow's not promised.
No, tomorrow's not promised.
So
But if
those
if you're
people
in the
are
math,
screwed.
Like you said, statistically, if you look across the Dow Jones, it's gone up since after the crash.
Sir,
from 29.
Sir, can I honestly ask you a question? Are
Yes,
you
you
getting
can.
Social Security?
No.
Oh. You know anyone that is getting it?
You're retired?
Yes, I know people that are getting it.
She said you're retired. What does that mean?
No, I am retired.
So
I'm
you're
not taking
collecting
Social Security.
So you're collecting your pension off of your 401k or something like that?
You planned
No. I'm retired. I retired from the military, and then I retired from the government.
Okay, so you're getting your retirement benefits.
Yes, I'm not
And you're
drawing
not
my Social
okay.
Security yet.
Okay. So what do you think about him possibly, having to go after Social Security? You might not be able to get it.
I planned on that. I mean, years ago, I saw
Fair enough.
that this was going to be a turd. So I just started planning that I was going to take care of myself without Social Security if I had to.
And you're willing to do that to support Donald Trump's agenda?
So my grandkids can one day.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you got to take a step back to take 2 steps forward. I mean, we've got to correct our physical house. We don't run our house the way the government's run. So we've got to clean up
I've never heard anybody say it the way you two are proudly saying it. You're willing to forfeit your Social Security to support Trump's agenda.
Well,
no.
Ma'am, that hurt me.
Not what we said.
Well,
That is not what we said.
Well, can you clarify what you meant?
Yes, I can mean that my husband and I, for the last 31 years, have planned for our retirement. We don't depend on the government. We never have. We don't depend on anybody but ourselves for our job, but we never have taken government aid or anything like that. We've tried to be good members of society and put back in. Okay? I respect your opinion, but I just don't get why you can't ever respect ours.
I think we agree that everyone is entitled to their opinion, correct?
Yes.
And I do genuinely believe that. I just don't. I have a problem, honestly. It's the hypocrisy. It's the hypocrisy. If we can stick to this topic, right? It's the hypocrisy.
But if you look at your comments, this is an echo chamber. People saying stuff like white privilege and all that. How do they know what I've done? I don't have a clue.
Since I was 13
White
years
tea
old.
privilege. There we go.
No white privilege. Hard work from a person, not white, not black, not purple. We don't care.
Again, don't you think people are entitled to their opinions, like you were just saying?
Absolutely.
Okay, so then
I just don't understand the stretch. How people can see so differently.
I'll help you. A lot of people don't have the ability to do what you just said, right? You said you planned your whole life to
I grew
to
up
live behind
living with a single parent, and I knew that I had to work my whole life for things that I wanted, and that's what I've done.
Right.
It's not because. It's because I know that you can only count on yourself in life. When you sit back and just depend on other people, you're setting yourself up for failure.
But isn't that just your perspective, and it doesn't take into consideration the millions of other perspectives that exist?
But it's done well for me.
But do you see what this could potentially sound like? You're saying that because it worked for me, it should work for everybody else.
No, I'm not. I'll tell you, I have helped the community. I'm a bail bonds woman for the last 25 years. So I can tell you how many people I try to help and work with that are coming from a bad way. I'm not judgmental. I'm just saying if you work hard, most of the time, you're going to be all right. I see people that don't have the chance, that come from bad families and stuff like that, and I see why they're beat down. And some people do need help. They do. And I'm not that person that doesn't want to help anyone. But I just think most all I see is generations of families, white families.
Do you think that?
Pardon me?
So I don't want to really get into this, but I'll say something along this lines because this is heavy. This is heavy.
Okay.
Would you happen to subscribe to the belief that there was a period in this country where slavery, for instance, was legal?
Absolutely. I'm
Do
not
you think
stupid.
that?
I'm not in denial.
Oh, do you think that perhaps there's some reminiscences of that still playing out today?
All day, every day.
So
Not
you're
in
aware.
Slavery, it's a class issue. It's a money issue. Whoever
Well-
has the most money wins.
Well,
period.
I'm just trying to think of it from a high level. So you and I agree that perhaps people who are descendants of slaves might have a different perspective of living in the United States than yourself.
What I just classified to you is I see generations of families that I see have not had the same.
But then, did you hear my?
They
Did you
have
hear?
not had the same. People now were not slaves.
Opportunities.
Yeah, opportunities.
Did-
People
did-
now were not slaves.
I honestly, I don't necessarily want to say that because the way mass incarcerations are happening and the communities that tend to be incarcerated, I'm inclined to,
I would love to debate you on that one day.
Well,
but that's a whole nother
yeah,
subject.
yeah,
because
but-
I am a professional in that area.
Okay, fine. And I think there's other people out here who are listening to you, ma'am, and they're probably going to reach out to you to get more information about this area from you. So I don't mind doing that and actually having the conversation later. But I just wanted to make sure you and I are on the same page that there are people in this country who have, for instance, like me, my grandmother, God bless her soul, she's 95 years old. She to this day will tell me stories about what she saw her mother and grandmother going through.
Absolutely, yeah.
So
We need to never forget.
So when you get on here and you say things like, "Well, it worked for me," right? And you didn't say it that way, but I'm kind of throwing it out there like that.
Well,
you
let me ask
also
you something,
might not be
Leslie.
you might not be aware that there's a reality that there's a lot of people that aren't able to say those things because there's some harmful things that have happened and are still playing out to this day that do not allow them to say things like that. All right.
Let me ask
And
you
then the
something,
Social
Leslie.
Security and the depending on the government thing, a lot of people need the government.
You know what? That's the problem right there. Generations of people depending on the government. And I'll tell you point blank, and it's not a black or white thing.
That's kind of mean though.
It's not mean. I'm going to tell you, I have my clients sit there. When I was caring for my father, say, you could get a check for that? Because they get a check for their mother, for their grandmother. It's gone down from generations. They teach each other how to do it because they don't have enough self-esteem to feel like they can do something else.
That's a simplified way of trying to say what's going on.
But I'm just trying to put it
Yeah.
out there for the general public.
But yeah, and I would encourage you to not say it like that, honestly,
Okay.
because it's minimizing the impact of what a lot of people are currently dealing with.
Okay,
All
I
right.
am in no way minimizing anything. If anything, I'm out there helping the people that are less fortunate. And really, in my day, really,
You believe you're helping people.
you can talk to any of my clients, and they will tell you if I had all the money that people owed me.
Well, why did you? Okay, so if you believe you're helping these people, do you also see how perhaps supporting Donald Trump is harming these people? And then I would ask you, do you really think you're helping these people? Because
do. I
even
think
if you're
that
doing the bail bondsman thing, I think in a way, and this is just my opinion, you're kind of profiting off of these people.
No, I'm not a bail bond guy that makes like the money. I'm a posting agent. I've done it.
But you're profiting off of some of this criminal.
No, I'm profiting from my boss for sitting at the jail, waiting to post bonds. So it's
Right,
not
so
like
that's
I'm
that's
getting
an
paid just
extension
like
of dealing
everyone
with
gets paid to do
criminals.
their job.
That's
Pardon me?
that's an extension of dealing with criminals.
Pardon me? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I say that's an extension of you dealing with criminals.
I do. And
Yeah, so you're profiting off of this situation,
Okay,
and so
so
you're saying you're helping them.
for
I'm kind of
example-
thinking to myself, like, ma'am, are you really helping them?
Okay, so do you want them just to sit in jail, or do you want some scum to go out there that's going to charge them double the price and steal from them? Or do you want an honest person like myself that's been doing it and charges the... No,
How
I'm
much?
not-
So you charge them.
Do you think you should get out of jail for free?
If you're truly helping them, I think you should take what Jesus did. How much did Jesus charge
I
people?
feel like you and I
How much did?
Listen, I would love to discuss the whole bail reform and stuff with you because I have a lot of information on that, and I believe we could share stuff with that.
But okay, we could maybe another day because
Yes,
you know.
not now.
But okay, but let me ask this question: how much did Jesus charge people?
Okay,
I'm not Jesus.
I'm not Jesus, number one. Yeah, that's true. I'm not Jesus, and I don't work for free.
Well, that's what I would consider
Yeah,
you
and I don't
helping
work for
people.
free. Do
That's
you
what I
want
would
to-
consider.
Can
That's
you
what
have- Okay, so like a nurse or a doctor, they do a job where they make a salary, but they're helping people.
Right.
So what's the difference? Might I
Well,
ask?
well,
You
well,
really don't
because
know. You don't personally know how
I'll
I
tell you, I'll tell you, right? Doctors, nurses, they got to go to school and they got to get in knowledge and information about like the human body, and they're going after things that are, you know, things that have directly harmed the human body, right? But crime is you don't got to do all of that, right? You could just draft up a sheet of paper and put some numbers on it, and then you know financially, you know, do a number on them. And I think when you financially do it to someone, that's a number because a lot of people struggle with finances, right? And it's not as intimate as, you know, dealing with the human body. That's just my opinion, all right? And I do believe in certain cases, right?
My husband did not tell me who to vote for. I'm a grown-ass woman with my own mind, and I make my own decisions. So let's just clarify that.
Well,
I'm a businesswoman, okay? I'm a wife. I'm a mother. I'm a grandmother.
I get that, but ma'am, the issue we're having, and this is all tied to your support of Donald Trump, the issue we're having is...
I just feel like I tried to come on here and like understand your point of view a little bit, but I really feel like it's just going to... I'm reading all these comments.
Well, don't necessarily read the comments, right? It's really important you have the conversation because
that's what I'm trying to have, but it just feels...
well, because this is my audience, right? It's mixed. They probably got folks out here that love Donald Trump just as much as you do. And then you got folks out here who are like me in a way, actually are probably way more intense about it, their belief in calling out the hypocrisy. And I just want you both to understand that
I feel like y'all are hypocrites. I do. I mean, you're letting Joe Biden let people come across the border.
Ma'am?
I'm just telling you, you feel that about me, but we feel that way about you.
The issue, though, has to do with breaking the law. At this point,
did Biden break a law when he's letting thousands of people cross the border every day?
No.
When he's giving them phone and taking the taxpayers' money to support all these
ma'am,
people?
ma'am.
You're concerned about Social Security, but are you concerned about paying for everyone that immigrates into this country illegally?
Ma'am, I'm concerned about all things in terms of crime. But here's the thing that I tell MAGA, you don't call yourself MAGA, do you?
No, I'm not MAGA. I'm a lady.
Okay, all right. I'll say this. You to me, I check out of conversations about crime and stuff when people who voted for Trump bring that up because I just can't bring myself to understand how did you go and vote for a person you knew was a criminal? I don't get how y'all did that.
I think every president that we've ever had since I can remember from Ronald Reagan has been some type of criminal. I can point out criminal things that they've all done.
You think?
If you really want to look at the picture, do you really think all the presidents have been perfect little peaches and don't?
No, I don't think there's.
Obama has also done bad stuff. Everyone has.
I don't think there's a perfect human being, but I do think that Donald Trump went to court and a jury of his peers, they convicted him, and I don't think that's happened to any other person. That's been the president, right? Can we agree on that? Can we agree on that?
Where was he convicted?
In New York.
Okay, and what do we have in New York? Judges appointed by whom?
Mixed bag of Democrat and Republicans.
I think we have a lot of left judges up in there.
Okay, so ma'am, whether you want to use that as your justification or not, the reality is it happened.
I know, but you can't look at one person's reality and not go back to all the rest and just ignore it. I'm just going to be honest with you. I feel like I'm older than you. And if you really think that your government is looking out for you, all of them, Democrat or Republican, I'm sorry, you're going to
Can we just agree that Donald Trump was convicted and no other president happened to have that happen to them? If you and I can agree on that, I would consider this to be a great...
agree with stipulations.
Huh?
I can agree with stipulations.
It's a simple yes or no.
No,
And
it's really not everything is black and white. There's a lot of gray stuff.
okay, but for the sake of, if you had to tell your grandchildren, you have grandkids,
I do.
and if you and they said, Grandma, was Donald Trump convicted? What would you say to your child?
Okay, you want to be honest? I'd be like, yes, Donald Trump was convicted, but Grammy feels like there was a group of people who were just out to get him.
Okay.
Only all those people put all them charges on him that were thrown out. Okay, I'm just
All right, I'm listening. So that's the part that I think separates you and I.
okay.
I would never ever want to tell my grandchild.
Do you have a grandchild?
I don't.
Okay, so you don't know.
But I can say what I can.
Do you have a child?
No, I don't. But can I just say what I need to say, and then I could never say, and I won't even say it to this day while I'm breathing on the earth. I went and voted for a person that I knew had been convicted of crimes to be the president of the, because to me, I think that comes with all kinds of curses as well as terms of this country. And I honestly think to a certain degree, you're seeing the curses on the United States right now because an overwhelming majority of people ignored this red flag and they did this. And this is the side that you got to understand. You got to take this to your grave, ma'am. Y'all knew better and you didn't do better.
No, I hear you. You're a young man. You don't know everything yet. Okay? I respect you for feeling strongly about something and standing up for it. Okay? I do.
But we should be honest and good people. Especially if we believe in the good Lord.
Honest and a good person. I just don't agree with you. That's your opinion. And I have just as many people that would say to you, you're crazy. How can you think this stuff with the stuff that's going on? So I feel like we're just going to have to agree to disagree with respect.
Well, okay, but listen, the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
I don't need you to talk to me about the road to hell. Okay? You're not Jesus. I have a Bible. I know the way to heaven and I know the way to hell.
Oh.
So just saying.
Well, ma'am, but I'm just, okay.
I'm not, if you're going to kind of be a little disrespectful to me about talking about the road to hell is paved, I'm just going to give you a little back.
I'm trying to say it to you out of...
You're not saying it out of kindness. It's coming off very disrespectful.
Well, ma'am, do you think you are doing good by supporting Donald Trump? I want me to play some more clips of the things that he has said so you can kind of...
I'm not going to continue to debate because it's just not going to go anywhere.
Okay, well, we don't need to do that then. But my point to you is, and it shouldn't come across. It shouldn't come across as me being rude and disrespectful.
That's your
it should come across as me.
I'm not a victim. I'm not anything like that.
Okay, but it should come across as me basically showing you that I'm a good person and I'm confidently and I'm okay with and I'm okay with
you are a good person
and I'm okay with rebuking.
I don't think you know enough now to
see now that right there, that was insulting. That was insulting.
You have been insulting me a little bit.
How have I insulted you?
You've been a little,
I've pointed out things about your dear leader, and have I lied about anything that I said Trump did? No.
You said I wasn't helping people. You were condemning my job. So yes, you have been a little.
I was okay. So.
Is that not a true statement? Can we agree or not agree that you said that I just did it for money?
I said I had questions about you saying you help people because to me, there's that angle that I got to also be aware of.
Have you ever been involved with any type of bail bonding or criminal work in the courts or anything like that?
I can't say that I have because I'm not you.
Unintelligent assumptions.
Okay, I'm just listening to you. And I'm pointing out the things that aren't actually quite aligning.
I could go all day, and I'm not going to cry.
No.
I'm just saying, I'm not.
But ma'am, this is where the rubber meets the road, and I'm well past my time slot. Normally, I'm done with the live, but this has been probably one of the most intense therapeutic moments I've had to have with a Trump supporter to help them understand that they're on the wrong side. You will always have to tell your grandchildren and anyone you love, you voted for a criminal. That's the difference between you and I. And I think you should wear that badge proudly. You got to. Because no one's going to buy you were tricked into doing this. No one's going to buy that.
Well, I wasn't tricked, and I did it 100%. 3 times I voted for him, and I would do it again.
You got to deal with the alligator that's biting you the hardest.
So this has been really warming and enjoyable. I do have respect for you, and I have respect for. I'm not a con artist. Why would I get up on TikTok? I just heard my husband.
You can cry. You can cry. It's acceptable.
Can you see me?
We're not.
I'm not a victim. Why would I cry? Because
I thought I heard you crying. All right, now listen. I brought two good friends up. All right.
I've been against much bigger, much badder, much smarter, and much more dangerous than you in my day.
All right, now I brought 2 good friends of mine up, and then they,
I'm sure.
and again, we're gonna try to get out of here in a quick amount of time, but perhaps they can get things across to you. I'll start with you, Kabira.
I have to go to work because I actually have a job where I make money. So
you don't have at least 2 minutes.
Okay,
come on.
I've got 2 minutes, and then I have to go to work.
All right, we'll let you do. All right, Kabira, you want to go first, real quick?
Yeah, Miss Big Daddy. What's your name, please?
My name is Kimberly.
Kimberly. Okay, Miss Kimberly. You stated that you and your husband, you had planned on when he retired from the military and he retired from the federal government, that you had set your goal and your path, and this is the way you would want to go, so you wouldn't have to depend on the government for anything, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'm listening to you.
All right. So now I'll tell you this. My husband was in the Army for 42 years. He retired.
Okay.
His retirement pay comes from the government.
Thank you for service.
All right. And I was also, but I didn't retire. And also your federal pay comes from the government. So yes, you depended on the government to get your retirement
I'm talking
pay.
about welfare. We've never taken any type of welfare or like taking money that we didn't earn. That was the point I was making.
Hold on one second
Okay.
now. So people who are on Social Security, because this was a conversation you were having with Zeus.
No, the conversation I was speaking of, was like welfare that people get for not working. That's what I was.
Okay, Carol. So I'm gonna give you another story. My daughter, when she was 3 years old, she hold on one second, Carol. My daughter, when she was
Carol.
All right, Miss
Kimberly. It's Kimberly.
Kimberly. I'm sorry, Kimberly. My daughter, when she was 3 years old, she had cancer. I had to quit working. The state of California
And that's what it's for. People
Wait
like
a minute.
Great, Kimberly, can she just finish? Because you're under a time crunch, and I just want to make sure both of them get a chance to say something to you before you get up out of here.
Yeah, go right
Okay,
ahead.
so I look at it like this. Welfare, everyone has a different circumstance, and you can't put everybody in the same boat. Now, people need help for whatever reason. And for you to sit back and say, people who get welfare, for these people, you never know what condition they're in. As far as I'm concerned, someone who gets their retirement pay from the government, that's a form of welfare. I don't care if you spent 40 years, 35 years, or 20 years.
Well, that's your opinion, and it doesn't make it right just because that's the way you think.
Exactly. So your opinion doesn't make it
I'm
right.
already right. I'm saying what works for me, and he asked me why we voted why I voted, and I'm explaining to you. So, I thank you for your service. I know it was hard that your husband was in there, and I do feel like welfare is for people like you that have a child with cancer. That's for people that really need it, not just because people don't want to work.
Well, don't cry, Carol. I think
I'm not crying, okay, Karen?
I think
Don't
Karen.
call me
I
Carol
think you
again. Can
struck
you
a
even
chord with
remember a
you,
name?
but you're going to be all right. Jim, take it away.
Jim, are you there? Thank you, Kabira. W. Kabira in the chat. Oh, my.
My daughter, perhaps I'd be dating.
You there, Jim?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Kimberly, are you
First of
there?
all, yes. Carol's a good name for her. Hey, I just want to remind you, for those of you who serve this nation with integrity and honor, this is the opposite of integrity and honor when you forget your oath to the Constitution.
And did you
First
serve
of
your
all,
country, ma'am?
Ma'am, you don't want to go.
Kimberly.
Ma'am, you don't want to dance with me.
Kimberly,
Ma'am,
I will let you respond if you don't mind, just because we're on a time crunch. But you don't got, remember, everyone's entitled to their opinion, but they've listened to us talk and they want to say things, all right? If you don't agree with it, I will let you respond.
Fair enough.
Ma'am, you don't want to dance with me. I'm not the one. I'm not polite like Kabira or Zeus. I will tell you like it is, and you will listen or you will be dismissed. Because the bottom line is this: you and your foul husband came up here and made claims about this man that you did not know. First of all, he is not a citizen of El Salvador. He renounced his citizen to El Salvador because his life was threatened as a teenage child, and he made it to the United States and was given protective legal status by the courts of our Constitution. So be really clear when you come up talking about somebody else who has had to run for their life, that you know their story before you open your mouth. Secondly, you might want to go research why the welfare system was even instituted in this country and why it was established to protect people in the United States of America using the very same tax dollars, by the way, that pay your pension, that pay your medical. And don't question other people's service to the nation when you have no fucking idea, excuse me, Zeus, who you are speaking to. With all due disrespect, both of you have made an absolute fool of yourself opening your mouth and literally squandering the gifts you have been given with your white skin when you don't have to worry about getting behind a vehicle of a car and being pulled over because you are white. You do not have to worry about walking into a store and being stopped. No, you are a racist and you are pathetic and you are a walking oxymoron.
Well, Kimberly, listen, I deal with this. Kimberly.
A walking oxymoron when you will literally, can you mute her so I can finish this statement? You are a walking oxymoron when you can come onto a panel and talk about you're a walking oxymoron when you can talk about making your own money and then leaving said money to your white
You gotta let her
grandchildren.
finish, Kimberly, and then I'll let you respond.
You are a walking
It's easy.
oxymoron when you are taking money from the American federal taxpayers and then turning around and supporting the very people stealing tax monies and allocated funds to every one of the federal employees, by the way. You know, the same people that keep paid that you get paid from. 1 million federal employees who have been fired unjustly in this country. 15,000 American service members fired unjustly. 83,000 veterans fired unjustly who get paid from the same money that you and your foul husband get paid from. Do not come up here and insult the American people with your sob story and your white woman tears because nobody wants to hear it. You are literally what harms this nation. Your racism, your misogyny, and your inability to see that you are the walking contradiction of what you are supposed to serve. When you will come up here and say that you literally work so that you can leave it to your grandchildren, all while talking about how you don't want to give handouts to other people. You are despicable, and you should not be on any panel.
There you go. All right, now, Kimberly, listen, I'm fair. I deal with people saying nasty things that I don't agree with all the time, Kimberly. Do you at least understand the feedback Jim is trying and Kabir are trying?
Absolutely no. I think she hates herself. I think she hates America. I think she's miserable. I think she's just sitting here calling people names that she knows nothing about. I'd be interested if she ever.
Ad hominem, you're looking in the mirror and your daddy there has to tell you. You know why his name is Big Daddy? Because that's what he demands you call him at night.
Big Daddy
you have to
hold on.
your husband
for 31 years.
Okay. Please hurry up, Kim, and then I gotta honestly wrap this up myself. So I promised you I would let you respond.
Zeus, and it was a pleasure debating you. Okay, I think you're a good debater.
She was calling you unintelligent. Yeah, that part. We all appreciated that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, go call Big Daddy's name in the shower in about 5 minutes when he tells you what to say.
Okay. Why don't you go hate yourself a little more and maybe move to Canada if you hate it so bad here and it's so bad.
No, baby. Unlike
What's
you,
that?
I will be able to tell my grandchildren that I stood for the American people.
Are you going to have grandchildren?
I gotta drop it. Oh my! Whoa! Oh my gosh! W Zeus. I gotta save the live. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Kabira. I truly appreciate it. And look at the time, ladies and gentlemen. I normally do not go beyond I'm 30 minutes late this morning, ladies and gentlemen. I got to get up out of here. Woo! W. Rick in the chat. Yes, W. Jim. All right. W. Kabira. Lord have mercy. This show has definitely been off the rails. I want to make sure before I get out of here, I give you all a huge round of applause. Thank you to all of my subscribers, gifters, moderators, and panelists. Without you, this show wouldn't be as exciting, engaging, and entertaining as it is and educational. But I also got to give one last round of booze and shame, and this goes out to all of the Zeus haters out there. And these are not just my haters. These are also your haters. These people get on TikTok day in and day out, and they worship Donald Trump. They want to smell his dirty, disgusting diaper, all right, just to get another chance to try to go ahead and get closer to him, and it's not working, ladies and gentlemen. The economy is going down the drain. Let's go ahead and send all the Zeus haters, especially those who voted for Donald Trump where they belong, straight to hell. Christ, wow, look at the time.
Silence!
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are out of here. Take care and stay safe out there in those TikTok streets. Don't do nothing I wouldn't do. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are out of here. What a show. I got to get out of here. My goodness. Y'all working me to death. Wow. Great show. Great show. That one's for the history book. Wow, wow, wow. Unprecedented. I love you all too. Wow. Y'all have a great rest of your morning. That's historical. Thank you again, Jim. Thank you, all of you, seriously. Thank you, Kabira. Hey! Cold as a day. Good show. We're out of here. That was a good show. I gotta give it to you. I honestly feel like I'm sweating. I feel like I'm sweating after that, but it was a good one. Uncle Rocker! Do some drill, baby, drill, and then we are out of here. All right, we're gonna do some drill, baby, drill. We're out of here.
But we're gonna end that, and we will.
Yeah, overtime. Y'all got me. W. Thank you for the choo-choo train. RC, thank you. It was an incredible experience. You would have to be here to have witness what we just went through.
We're gonna lower your taxes, Steve.
Oh, we covered a lot of territory today. Wow.
They go crazy when I say.
Here it goes.
The late great Hannibal Lecter. Drill, baby, drill. We're gonna frack, drink and drill.
Hey! Hey, Kimberly, come on back tomorrow. I'm pretty sure you got a lot of people that want to check in with you. Don't run from this. We're going to get you. And you too, Grandpa. She said, I like fracking very much. Look, they always go back to what they want. Little Miss, thank you. She can't help it. She's a radical. And we're going to end that. Love you, Kabira. You know that. So much money we're gonna pay. What a great ending. That was a good one. You know they go crazy when I say the late great. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go.
Insane asylum.
Uh-oh.
You know, they go crazy when I say the late, great Hannibal Lecter.
Here he goes.
Okay, they say, why would he mention Hannibal Lecter?
What are we going to do?
We're going to lower your taxes.
That part.
Deep insane asylums.
Hey.
You know, they go crazy when I say the late, great Hannibal.
Let's go. Lower your taxes. Hey, you know they go crazy. Hey, hello, hey, hello. There you go. Hey, hello. Drill, baby, drill like it's Hannibal Lecter time. We're gonna lower your taxes. Keep insane asylums. Hey. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's what you call a rap. We're gonna pay off all your debt. All right, we're gonna lower your taxes, and we're gonna do that and so much more. Because guess what, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna drill, baby, drill like you wouldn't believe. And then when we're done, we're gonna get to the liquid gold. And after the liquid gold, you know what that means? We're gonna crack. All right, ladies and gentlemen, take care and stay safe out there in those TikTok streets. We are out of here. Have a great rest of your morning.